Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the URC. We are in the second last round before the quarterfinals, and this game is quite crucial for both of these sides. Ulster are at home and they are hosting the Stormers. Now, currently on the overall standings, the Stormers are sitting pretty nicely in the first place position with a win here over Ulster. If they get it with a bonus point, no one can catch them heading towards those quarterfinals. That would mean home quarter, home semi, home final, theoretically, for the Stormers if they were to win all of their games. Whereas for Ulster, they have gone from a side that were right near the top four, now into 8th. And if they lose this game, and Connacht can pull off a win in one of their 2 matches that are coming up, they may end up sneaking in to this top 8 of the competition. Now, I will mention Sharks, Ospreys, Edinburgh, Benetton, Dragons, Scarlet, Zebra. They are all gone from this comp. But there is still a chance we may see some sort of late change, and it may not be Ulster that drop outside of that top 8, depending on what other results happen. Who knows? It could be a Cardiff, could be a Munster. Those sides can all still be caught. The only sides that are actually safe in the top 8 are Leinster and above. But looking through at the starting lineups, first of all, for the home side, Ulster, it is Angus Bell in the front row alongside James McCormick and Tom O'Toole. Starting in as that number 3, Ian Henderson alongside Charlie Irvine in the locking duo with Cormac as the Chuckwu, Nick Timoney and Yano Augustus. He did score in the last week game up against the Exeter Chiefs. Of course, a big congratulations to Ulster making it through to that Challenge Cup final. They will go head-to-head with Montpellier in only around 3 weeks' time. But in the back line, it is Nathan Doak alongside Jack Murphy. Zach Ward out on the left wing. Jude Postlethwaite moves into the 12 jersey, so no Stuart McCluskey for this matchup. Ethan McElroy at 13. Werner Koch out on the right wing, a welcome return for this Ulster side, and Michael Lowry as the number 15 for the Stormers in this contest. On Tutuko Machuno alongside Andre Hugafinta and Suzy Sandy getting to start at 3. Andre Smith and Ruben van Heeren in the locking duo with Dion Foree, the captain, as the number 6. Ben Jason Dixon 7 and Evan Roos slotting in as the number 8. Ahmad Khan partners with Sasha Feinberg and Ngome Zulu as their 9 and 10 combo. Lelio Zas out on the left wing. Damien Williams back in the midfield alongside Daniel Duplessis with Similani and Gelant, the last 2 men. And the starting side, we have got Hyle and Hamish from Robert. Welcome in, hope you are doing well. Do they need to win with a bonus point, says Mohadeen? Yes. If they want to secure that number 1 spot no matter what, they need a victory over Ulster here with a bonus point. Then they can just watch that. Well, they will still have to play, of course, but they can watch that next game with a little bit less stress. I would say, the Stormers supporters, we have got their evening. Hamish, do you want to taste my biltong rice cake? I can Bluetooth it to you quick. I don't know whether or not that's how technology works, Martin, but maybe one day it'll get that fancy. Poor Zebra says big rig there. And Stormers win 32 points to 13, says Benjamin. Ulster by 21 to 18. And also we've got there, I think Ulster is going to take this one, even though I'm a Stormer, says Rhino. And of course for Ulster, this game is literally do or die for their season. If they lose this, they still have to play the Glasgow Warriors next week. So it doesn't actually get any easier for Ulster. Now, the Stormers, they have still got a pretty tough road ahead of them. In terms of that last round, they will also be away from home, I believe. 1 second, we'll go like that. There we go. So these are the matches that are coming up. They will be playing Cardiff. A bit of an unknown still for myself in terms of what that side's ability really is. I know they're sitting, 5th or 6th on the table at the moment, I believe 6th. But they're just unpredictable. Sometimes they play like they're a side that are 100% going to be in contention for the titles, and other times they play like a side that look like they just got thrown together. So I definitely think the Stormers would love to secure this game rather than taking any risks heading into that one. I will mention at the same time, this game has got another one taking place, Glasgow versus Cardiff, so we'll get to see a little bit of the changing. We could see a new leader in terms of this round of the URC with only the 1 match to go. Some other crucial games, I should say. Munster versus Lions, depending on what Lions do in their game up against Leinster. That one may be absolutely crucial. Bulls versus Benetton. Leinster versus Ospreys. Scarlets versus Dragons. A lot of good games taking place on that Sunday. We have got there, but if they win without a bonus point, are they still number 1? Yes. But I believe there would still be a chance of them being caught in that case, whereas if they win with a bonus point, they're happy as, and they would get themselves, no matter what, that number 1 spot which, like I mentioned, would guarantee a home quarter, a home semi, and a home final if they are to win all their games. Ahoy HC's 1 beer, and also evening all Stormers to make the most of the week's rest. Says Jimbo, that is true. We've got to remember Ulster were in action just last week, beating the Exeter Chiefs in their Challenge Cup semi-final. For the Stormers, they've had a little bit longer. They've had that recovery time, which at this stage of the season can feel like liquid gold. You're just able to avoid playing a game of rugby for a weekend. It is such a hectic schedule for these players. So yeah, having an extra week off, definitely when you're travelling the week after, can be absolutely huge. They've got the how's Hamish, Craig from St Francis Bay, Eastern Cape. South Africa is back, survived the big storm here. Says Craig. Yeah, I realised that's how long? That was about 4 days ago, right? Has it all cleared up by now, Craig? In terms of, I know that the under-20s are playing tomorrow, and we were hoping that all that weather had passed by then. I honestly see Ulster winning, only because at home, and I'm a biased Glasgow fan. Do they need 4 tries? Yes, 4 tries for a bonus point in this competition, same as the Under-20 Rugby Championship, something that many people did not realise. So that comp hasn't actually been won yet. Fun fact, they do still need to get at least a point from their next game, the Junior Box. Cold Front tomorrow and another on Monday. Oh, lovely. So it's going to be pretty brutal for that Under-20s game, perhaps. It's interesting that both Glasgow and Stormers play the exact same teams. Says Kaho, just the way that the draw's kind of worked out. And a lot of the times, it is that home and away situation. How, 1 week, it's the same with what we see at the moment for the Bulls and Zebra. Or sorry, with the Bulls and the Sharks, how they both play Zebra 1 week and then Benetton the next. It just kind of ties in nicely. It also limits the amount of chopping and changing that they have to do for certain sides. So it works out quite nicely. We have got there, who do you think will win? Well, the Stormers come in as favourites. And I do think they'll be the slightly fresher side because of that rest, although they have got the travel aspect of it. I think that if the Stormers really want their home final, they'll find a way of winning today. If they still want their home final, of course, but can't quite get the job done up against Ulster, then it relies heavily on their game up against Cardiff next week. But they'd much rather, like I said, have it done and dusted now so that they can go into that next game, even with a bit of an experimental side, even with it being away from home. If no one can catch you, you stick out the players that don't normally get much of a chance, even though theoretically you have a rest week, but the last one is, the last thing you want is that injury. And Sharks won't win tomorrow and next week. Says Mohadeen, and pack weights, anyone? Great to catch this, says Eric. I have no idea about the pack weights. Normally I wait till that first scrum. But, they're both pretty powerful 4-packs. You look at Evan Russ in that number 8 jersey versus Wano Augustus. Those two men know how to score a lot of tries. Evan Russ is on one of the longest scoring streaks in URC history at the moment. Wano Augustus, he's just coming off that try in the game up against the Exeter Chiefs. He did score the first one of the contest. So the Stormers trying too hard. Maybe they should loosen up, says Cool Story Jr. They can loosen up after they've secured the win, in this case. But, it's always nice to sit number 1 in the standings, isn't it? Werner Cox still around. It's crazy, and his work rate is still insane. Hard to believe he never got a Springboks cap, says Ghetto. Yeah, he's a phenomenal talent for the Ulster side, and whatever he does at 150%, which is why he's such an asset to a team. He didn't play in that game up against the Exeter Chiefs, and there were quite a few surprised that he wasn't getting that chance. It's the final URC next week. No, the final round of the URC is, but the final of the URC is not taking place till about late June, as when that one's happening. In fact, it would be closer to late June. Maybe mid-June's the better way of describing it. Storm meter today, Wednesday and Thursday, was huge rain and destructive floods. Thanks for asking, says Craig. And also, Glasgow will not lose to Cardiff. Up to the Stormers to nail the 1 point to 6. If that makes sense, says Kahu. But yeah, it will be interesting. Because not often we have 2 games taking place at the same time involving 2 top 8 sides and such important points on the line for these teams. But the weather looks like it's nice here at the stadium. There's that kind of AstroTurf. Angus Bell, the Aussie international, he will make his way out onto the field alongside his team in a very short moment. I don't know Ahmad Khan, what's his game like? He's a handy enough player. Of course, there's always the comparisons to who's their best halfback, which in most cases people would go with Kobus Reinach, but Ahmad Khan has had some solid performances. He's quick with his passing occasionally and can create great chances on attack. He's split screening, more than likely I will be, yes. But I've got to wait for the game to get fully underway before I can start clicking buttons, or else it doesn't like me. First point, the players' taste after they've won will taste so good, says Big Rig. My man Vipro seems to be down. Anyone got a good ult? Says Dimitrado, I should say. I would say URC TV, but I assume you don't want to pay for it. So that might be a tricky one. Hopefully whatever alternative you find does not give you a virus, because that would be not ideal. And probably more costly than URC TV as well. What are your thoughts on oversaturation of rugby games on YouTube? What are your thoughts on, what do you mean? Like as in like the amount of matches being shown on YouTube? Or what do you mean, Anthony? I feel like Wales/Welsh teams have been cursed by Danhausen. They don't seem to be allowed to win games, says Big Rig. And also what players is not playing today of the Springboks, says Mohadeen. No Kobus Reinach in this contest. Outside of that, they got a lot of their box intact for this one. The two sides about to make their way out of the tunnel. We're only about 3 minutes away from the kickoff of this contest. Who do you think will win the URC final? Well, I think first sides have to get there. There's a lot of jump in the gun at the moment. We haven't even got a top 8 confirmed. So, you know, who knows? I think is the best way of describing it just for now. First we need to know, is Connacht going to sneak their way in? Or is it going to be Ulster who claim that 8 spot? Maybe even you see them climb a little bit higher. If they get 2 wins from 2, their next 2 weeks. They are just showing the starting lineups yet again. Ulster, they are solid in terms of their 4-pack. I see Pollard is off the bench tomorrow. That is true. Villy LaRue getting the starting 10 jersey has sent a few Bull supporters into a bit of panic, although that man did play 10 last year, and actually not too badly for the Bulls that time. What about Munster? Do you see Munster making it? They should do. I'd be surprised if they didn't, because if they lose their game this weekend up against Connacht, then they've still got that game to fall back on up against the Lions, where they can go fully stacked and, you know, kind of hope for the best. 1 second, we'll go like this. We'll go like that as well. There we go. We have got the split screen going. Although currently that Glasgow, there we go, it has now loaded. They are just showing the starting lineup again for the Stormers. I will ask the question, ladies and gentlemen, yes or no, will Evan Ruiz score again here? He has scored many weeks in a row in the URC competition. Games do you think Lions will struggle with? Well, they've only got the 2 games remaining, Leinster and Munster. Leinster have gone more experimental, giving a few of those guys from the Champions Cup semi-final a bit of a rest. So I would say that they have a better chance of winning this game up against Leinster than they possibly do up against Munster if they've got their backs to the wall, the Munstermen. And April/May is the finals period all over European Club Rugby, says Eric. It's finals period, as well as June. Don't forget June. Normally all the finals take place in the June window, with the Gallagher Premiership, top 14, URC, all taking place during the June stage. We have got there. Do you remember when they were very critical of Dan Carter in New Zealand? Says Cool Story Jr. I remember when they were very critical of Jesse Creel. And look at how that one turned out. He turned out to be one of the better 13s around in world rugby. But people can be very, how do you describe it without offending the people who get offended? But people can be very fickle, I think is the best way of describing it. 1 week they'll absolutely rant about a player that they've fallen in love with, who's a phenomenal talent and the best thing since sliced bread. And then the week after, if they drop the ball once, they curse their whole career. And they say, I'm never watching this guy play again. He's the worst rugby player ever. And, you know, even the under-20s get it, which is the part of the side of things that I'm a bit concerned about. The fact that people get so passionate about juniors who are still learning not just how to play rugby, but also just learning how to function as an adult, they get ripped into before they even get a chance. So, yeah, there's many times that I've remembered players getting ripped out and then they've gone on to become great players, but people will still go 10 years ago, I remember when he wasn't that flash. Morning, Hamish, and everyone says Studs Race. Welcome in. If you are doing well, Andrea Piardi is the referee in charge of this one. He is very interesting in terms of some of his calls, but It's a bit of fun, isn't it? But now I will quickly sneeze, so we will mute before this game gets underway. 1 second. But we are good and we are underway. Still learning to function as an adult and I'm 48. Yeah, functioning's hard. You know, I'm only 26 and I still have no idea how everything works, but nicely claimed by the Stormers inside of their own 22. Ulster will want to go out with a flying start, but the Stormers have got plenty of X-Factor players. Do you think Piardi is refereeing the Ulster game because he could ref the Champions Cup final? Maybe. I mean, he might be in the equation for the refereeing side of things. I don't know how long before the game they decide. I think it's earlier in the week, isn't it? Still got a few weeks to go. The ball's still on the side of Ulster here. Nathan Doak. It's after the Stormers decided to kick it downfield, but it has given the possession back to the home side. Oh, Damien Williams has taken a nasty knock on the cheek there. He was trying to make a tackle, got his head in the wrong place, and he is still down. This is a massive hit to the Stormers as he does not return to his feet as of yet, and they're going to have a stoppage just to check him. This is a big concern, though. Are you going to Australia? No. Not for any rugby, anyway. Our referees have it worse. One bad call. An entire country hates you for 60 years, says Big Rick. Sio Kolisi playing tomorrow. I'm not actually too sure. I haven't even looked at that Sharks lineup, seeing as we're doing the junior box versus junior All Blacks. This is like Damien Williams' eyebrows been half ripped off here in the collision. Going to see the replay now. Oh, it's the back elbow of Ethan McElroy. Nothing cynical about it. Just in the way that he swung his arm round, has cut the limbs open. Kind of became a bit of a fish out of water when he got hit. He kind of seized up a little bit in the body department. But they're just trying to fix the bleeding currently. Not the start to the match that John Dobson would have wanted for his number 12, though. Definitely win. This is such a crucial match. Yeah, Rodriguez back elbow. See his thuds race. Yeah, a little bit similar to that one. Who was that up against? Was that the Korean zombie he faced for that back elbow, or am I thinking of another one? As a ball supporter, I don't really have a dog in this fight, so I'll go with the team with the South African in it. That is Werner. Dude sounds like he's from Bloemfontein, and he'll feel that in the morning, says Big Rick. He's currently feeling it too, and he has had to go from the field. Thought for a second Glasgow had already scored up against Cardiff, but I think they were defending. That's more of a flesh wound. Yeah, hopefully it isn't going to be anything substantial for Willemse. They can wrap his head up and get him straight back out there. And Korean Zombie says, does race. Tell you what, that was lucky that I got that right, wasn't it? On the way to the right-hand side. Ulster around the halfway line. Tackled by the captain, Dion Fourie. Had a few captains this season, the Stormers. Fourie being another one of them. This one's going to come down just outside of the 22. Awkward bouncing ball. Werner Koch jumps on it with a Lilian Zas right on him as well. Ball still on the side of Ulster. Nathan Doak going across to the left-hand side. I know Augustus, always someone to keep an eye out for when Ulster are attacking. Definitely when they use their forwards. Thought about the Waikato pass for Lowry. Tackled by Sasha Feinberg and Gumea Zulu. We have there, good choice, Martin. We can take whatever Stormers sends us. That one's going to be kicked in behind. Awkward bouncing ball cleaned up at the back for Warren Kaland, who's going to be tackled by Cormac as a Chukwu. Tries the awkward offload to Similani, who will go for the kick. He's been driven into touch by Cormac as a Chukwu. And it will now be the line out for Ulster. About 15 metres out from their own line here, the Stormers. And a lot of panic in that first play. We saw Warren Kaland looking for a risky offload to Similani, who took a risk and tried to step down the short side. Cormac as a Chukwu had both of them in that scenario, the big six. I'm watching, see how the form of the Bok players is in anticipation for the upcoming series against the ABs. Although first we've got to get through July. Of course, they have got their match up against the English, the South Africans, and a couple other matches thrown in there too. A Barbarians test match taking place beforehand as well. Nathan Doak with the inside pass there to Zach Ward, 5 metres from the try line. Stormers trying to look for the steal. We haven't been able to get it as of yet. James McCormick, couple metres out, 2-man tackle on him. There's a big chance though for Ulster. Rush defence. Oh, another player down for the Stormers. Looks like it might be a facial injury. Now sitting 1 metre short of the line for the Ulsterman. Nathan Doak away to the right-hand side. They will shift this one wide. And it's a massive cutout pass. Werner Koch scores the try. And Ulster they will take the lead here. Evening Amish, minus 40 degrees. Here in Joburg, hopefully we survive the night and see the sun tomorrow, says Xander. I hope that's an exaggeration. Minus 40 is a bit crazy. I'd assume probably closer to minus 4, right? But Vernicock on the right wing scores for Ulster. He's been a player who stepped up in the big moments. And this is definitely a big one for Ulster here. Yipsy is playing his second last game for him at the Sharkies. Yeah, of course, he's going to the Stormers side, isn't he? The relatively near future, but 4 minutes into the contest and Vernicock is on the board. 22 degrees Celsius in Durban, says Dimitaro. And hi, everybody, says Kevin, welcome in. And great for Glasgow, come on, Ulster. Cold as balls here, bud, says Martin. Well, how cold are balls? Currently, we're 10 degrees Celsius here in New Zealand, but then that's considered warm. For us, whereabouts we look in Joburg. Johannesburg at the moment is 9 degrees Celsius in the evening, with a low of 6 overnight. Yeah, it's getting a little bit chillier. I'm just asking the real question, says Big Rick. And also, they have a South African flag by his name. That is because he's South African, Vernicock. He spent some time at the Sharks, or quite a bit of time at the Sharks. The Blitzbox 7s, he was involved in there too. Kick has been converted, and it does make the score now 7-0 in favour of Ulster. Nice stepping from Nathan Doak, but he can only get it as far as the halfway line with his kick. And now short side for Watakalant. I'm wearing tennis pants in Durban. Says good story, and good evening, mate. Says pleasure, welcome in. You are doing extremely well. Plenty of exciting games happening this round. This is definitely one of them. Another one actually taking place currently. Cardiff versus Glasgow, still 0-0 at Scotstoun there. Now looking for the steal on the breakdown were Ulster, but they don't get it. An advantage goes against them here. The Stormers with their first real attacking chance. Sunday moves up to 20 out. Damien Valimza yet to make his way back out onto the field after the cut, but nice cut-out pass. This is a lot of space here. Ontatuko Machunu. He has been flying towards the try line multiple times. Evan Rus goes in again. This man scores every single week at the moment for the Stormers. But 6 minutes into the contest, Evan Rus is over. And now the Stormers, they are back in this game. I'll have all the momentum in recent matches, says Kevin. How will you come feel if you want? Just didn't think we are that close yet, says Martin. But it's Unthathuko Machunu. That is a brilliant storming run from the Stormers number one. And then Evan Rus just saw the pick and go opportunity. He can be so lethal. That close to the try line. So quick with picking the ball up. And just no chance for the scramble defence to be set. Beautiful try, says Studs Rays. Yeah, really nicely done. At a time where they did need to try and take that momentum straight back. And that's exactly what they were able to do. Kicker successful. That means 7 minutes in, it's 7-all. Between these two sides, Wayman in the game between the Crusaders and Blues. I was working, so in the end, the Crusaders won by 16. Getting themselves a bonus point. Moving that little bit further up on the table. The Chiefs, the game after, they were able to beat the Reds. So the Reds are currently on the chopping block a little bit in terms of the potential chance of missing out. But they've got 3 what I would consider easier games. So they should make it. Brumbies are an interesting one, though. If they lose up against the Western Force today, that will really hurt their season. Or tennis shorts, I should say. Not like tennis-themed pants, says Good Story Jr. And straight down the 12 channel, no McCluskey is going to hurt, says Jimbo. Yeah, his absence will definitely be felt. Is he being rested or injured? Jimbo, in this case, Vernicock, looking for the steal and the breakdown. And tell you what, he's almost managed to get it. Ruben van Heeren just has to pull him to the side. Kick downfield from Sasha. Take it again inside of the 22 for Ulster. Lowry is going to run this ball forward. He has got the man on his outside, but decides instead to run it straight at Sasha. Who's this new number 1 front row guy? Well, he's not really too new. Unthathuko Machunu, that is. He's been around URC sides for a while, although I believe he was at the Sharks initially, but boy, is he an athlete. You know, there's quite a few number 1s. Tell you what, Angus Bell just showing off the running of the Lucy props as well here. But yeah, it seems like that's the department where everyone seems to have sped up and gotten quicker. Uh-oh. Dion Ferreen knee injury here. How many has that man had throughout his career? He came back from what seemed like a career-ending injury, and now he's got another knee issue. Hopefully it's not as serious as it first looks, but it's not looking too flash for him at the moment. It's just that clean out and the breakdown from Henderson. Ow! Tell you what, that's bad from Henderson. That might be a red card here for Ulster. I think they're going to check it because this is the equivalent of putting all of the weight down on a player's knee. And I think this is going to be something much more than just a penalty. Crusaders definitely helped bring the Blues back into it with those cards. And also we have there's Ruas a better number 8. The what space was back in the day. Different eras, I think. So I think it's very hard to judge. He's gone, says Studs Rays. Yeah, I don't see a way that Ian Henderson, the captain of the Stormers side, the captain of the Ulster side, actually gets to continue playing here. From the way that he dropped his body weight. It was an extremely awkward one. I'm going to see the replay now. He couldn't get the clean out on Dion Foree. That could have been really bad for Foree's knee as well. McCluskey hamstring. There's Jimbo. It buckles badly. It is a croc roll. And I think this one's going to be yellow card off-field review. I would be so surprised if this doesn't get upgraded to red, though. And time for Youngblood to step up. Okay, it's because I only see the players on TV these days, see School Story. And that looks so painful. Definitely for a guy who's had extensive knee and leg injuries throughout his career for Dion Foree. Like I mentioned, just came back from pretty much a almost career-ending injury. And don't stress, Dr. Dion. I'll still play in the next 3 World Cups. And who's captain now? Says Mohideen. Well, I haven't seen if he's actually been taken from the field yet. Dion Foree. He's back up on his feet. I think he's gotten extremely lucky here because that could have been another season ender for Foree, but he looks like he's going to continue getting some heavy strapping on that knee. And by heavy, I mean very heavy. Looks like that whole leg's going to be covered in strapping by the end of the season. He's going to continue playing. It was captain on captain. And then one of them will be on the field for the next 10 minutes, maybe for the rest of the game, depending on what that outcome is from the TMO. I'd be very surprised if this isn't red, though. I will say it again. Doesn't get much more serious than that when it comes to a croc roll. It's going to be kicked into touch by Sasha Feinberg, Ngome Zulu. Currently, they're trying to get their attack going here, the Stormers. We see just that initial contact from Henderson. It's all the weight down at the wrong place. Who got the yellow? I just joined Ian Henderson, the number 4 for Ulster. It's not a nice thing to do to old people, and told you. He's fine, just needs some rice wine. Now, line out here for Andre Hugo Fenta. Taken by Ben Jason Dixon, and now the rolling maul has gone down straight away. And a penalty to Ulster there. Side entry from the Stormers, just getting a little bit too keen in that breakdown. The referee has said there, just in straight in the side. And the croc rolls, why croc rolls got banned? Yeah. And once again, I am very happy that Dion Foree is okay from it. Because it was such an ugly, just like the way the knee popped. Which I think he could halfway looked like he was bracing for it, Dion Foree. Like he almost bent his leg just at the right time to stop some of the major damage being done. But he's a tough individual. There's no denying that. Or the Stormers skipper, but line out throw here for Ulster around the halfway line. Nicely claimed by Cormac as a Chukwu, who will probably slot more into a locking type of role when it comes to these lineouts while Henderson is off the field. Nathan Doak waiting patiently at the back of this rolling maul. And now going for the box kick. About 4 Ulstermen chasing after this, which will leave a gap in behind if it does end up bouncing, fortunately, for the Stormers, which it does now off to Ruben van Heeren. Away to the left-hand side. Sasha Feinberg Zulu will go for the kick in behind. But Werner Koch, no, in fact, it's Lowry this time who's back. Just take the easy mark. Currently, Glasgow versus Cardiff is sitting 0-0 after the first about 12 minutes of that matchup. How many injuries did Dion have? A lot. It's probably too many to count on one hand. Hello there, hope you're well, mate. Sebastian, hope you are well too, Seb. Tell you what, you'll be an excited man at the moment, Sebastian. We're not too far away from England versus New Zealand in the cricket side of things. I think that's happening June, right? In the early stages. It happens if Hendo misses the clean out. He's no defence for his action, read every day. Yeah, once again, number 6 blue is out. Dion Forey is not going to continue in this game. He has tried his best, but Paul de Villiers make his way on. Quite an interesting situation here with Paul de Villiers wearing the number 16 in this matchup. And he is on for Dion Forey. Looks like they are going to continue strapping and icing that leg. Hopefully he's going to be all right for the playoff games. He can be so dangerous in terms of getting those turnovers for the Stormers side, who currently have got the position 40 metres out. Big fend from Damien Willemse, who looks like he has recovered from his cut on his head as well. And England are playing Italy tomorrow in the women's. Says Big Rick. Do you think it will be upgraded to red? I'd be surprised if it didn't. I think Henderson would be a very lucky man if he doesn't end up off the field and potentially suspended heading into the playoffs. Loose ball now, picked up by Untatuku Machunu. He just threw away the opposition number 10 there. Jack Murphy, I don't think he knew what really happened in that scenario. It was all so quick. Untatuku got rid of him now, going away to the left-hand side. Numbers here for the Stormers. One more pass to Lelion Zas, who bumps off Vernicock 10 metres. Out from the line, drop ball from Evan Rose, but a slip there for the Stormers. For Ulster, inside of their 22. It's Ash Captain. You're forgetting no intention, says Kevin. What, no intention from Henderson? Or no intention of not doing a croc roll that could have ended Forey's career? That's a big shot. And this is an injury here for Jack Murphy. He is knocked unconscious here, ladies and gentlemen. There are injuries flat out between these two sides. Excited for the Black Cap series. The slight problem is, to my knowledge, England still doesn't have a selector after the previous one left in January after the Ashes. That will make it a bit difficult, won't it? England versus New Zealand ladies cricket on this Sunday. Jess Kerr saved us the other day. Seeing Studs race. But there is going to be a bit of a stoppage here due to that injury. Okay, they're going to be checking for foul play, but I don't think there was too much in it. I think that the player was falling down in Jack Murphy, or at least that's the way that it looks in real time. According to Google, Dwayne Vermeulen is regarded as the best Springbok 8 of the modern era, says Xander. Right, Jack Murphy, he looks all right for now. Game has felt much slower than I was expecting. Very stop-start. Says Big Rig, yeah, well, the 3 injuries haven't helped. I will say we've had that 4E injury where the TMO had to be involved for Ian Henderson. We've had the Damien Willemse cut, and now we've got the Jack Murphy injury thrown in there too. The TMO said there's no foul play. The crowd want there to be. Hamish called it red. Says, cool story. Yeah, I'd be surprised if he doesn't get one, but you just never know. Total accident, says Studs race. Yeah, I think the crowd are possibly a little bit more... Yeah, like there's nothing Willemse can do there to avoid making contact with Murphy. But Murphy's going to be from the field. Does now bring out Jake Flannery. You know, we're going to have all of the bench changed for both of these sides by half-time at this rate. There's going to be an HIA that he will be off the field for. 12 and a half minutes into the contest. Still 7-all. Evan Rus as well as Vernicock. Tap tackle, no foul, says Jimbo. Yeah, like Willemse, even if he tried to step out of the way in time, he wouldn't actually get out of the way. That's how quickly it did happen. And it wasn't any sort of deliberate head contact. It was just more so that because of the ankle tap, Jack Murphy went in with his head in terms of falling forward. And as Amish, I'm doing extremely well. Says Yanko, I am doing all right. Big old rugby weekender. Oh, it's been upgraded to a red card for Ian Henderson. I was waiting for that decision to be made, and now it has been. 20-minute red, or is it full-time red? In this case, yeah, it's been upgraded. Ian Henderson, I don't know if anyone's told him yet. He's very stoic on that chair. Now, big run from Untatuku Machunu again. Hello, Amish, he's Burning Lash. Welcome in. Now going away to the left-hand side to Ruben van Heeren. But it gives the Stormers a massive chance to get something going here. Try and secure themselves that winning bonus point. Of course, first the win is the first task, but I think naturally the way that the Stormers have played with their points differential, they should be able to get their great run from Sasha Feinberg. Zulu runs it up the middle, and that is now the try for the Stormers. This game could have been completely cut open now due to that red. And it could get ugly for the home side. 70s is not regarded as modern era. That was the case. Gareth Edwards is the greatest player of all time, as well as the modern era, says Kevin. The 20-minute and full-time red seems needlessly confusing to me. Feels like a red should be permanent. And a red or 20-minute. I think because it got a bunker review, it's a 20-minute red, right? Rather than just a full-on foul play red for the rest of the game. Jack Dempsey just scoring for Glasgow, I do see as well. I know Hamish was right. I'm glad that's a red card. Duty play that ends careers is unacceptable behaviour. Says Burning Lash. Yeah, hopefully Footy is going to be all right for the playoffs. He did continue playing for a little bit longer, which I think is thoroughly impressive. But it's going to be the Stormers now leading this game 14 points to 7. Are we over there? Spoiler, the game should never have been a permanent red, says Kevin. So what would you give it as instead? Because there was intent there from Henderson, from at least the angles that we saw. I assume it was the frustration of not being able to move Footy, but you can't drop your whole body weight on people's lower limbs. That's been a rule for a long time, or a law for a long time. That ball unplayable for the Stormers rolling more, so it does mean that Ulster now have got themselves the scrum feed. And red for me, says Studs Race. Do you think Sasha should be dropped? Probably not. He's just scored. So he's going all right. It's all 4 of our locks suspended for foul play. We never learn, says Jimbo. Yeah. Not ideal timing either with the playoff games taking place. And now Nathan Doak. Scrum feed here. This is where they really need to strike again, Ulster. They are playing with a man disadvantage. And Henderson, a.k.a. the captain, got a red card 20 minutes into this game. Or 20 minutes into the game. Less than 20 minutes in, but I believe it's a 20-minute red. With the bunker review system being in play. Anderson getting a 3-week holiday, maybe. There's a high chance. I don't know whether or not he's going to be playing up against Montpellier now. So that could be quite the hit to the lock-in department for this Ulster team. Similar to Doris on Dupont. It's poor balance and choice, says Eric. Yeah, there was time for Henderson to pull out of it. I think is the reason that you can still look at it as a red. Like, he could have stopped the sideways movement, but he went, you know what, I'm just going to drag him down. And unfortunately, the limbs of Dion Fourie did get quite brutally smashed there too. Thanks so much for watching that Cardiff game, and it's still 0-0 in all Cardiff. Oh. Are you slightly behind live, Fleshin? Maybe. So sorry for the spoiler. I do apologise there. Cormac is a Chukwu running this ball up for Ulster. 14 men at the moment on the field. I'm back across to the left-hand side. Modern era is the professional game. That's what is general consensus, and that's what Henderson's dad used to say, says Big Rick. Can't wait for international rugby now. We're getting closer. We're much further away than we were, much closer than we were a couple of months ago, which felt like an eternity waiting for those July internationals, but they will be happening before we know it. I think less than 2 months' time now. How many games are left in the URC, and when is the playoffs and the final? Says Artis. So in terms of games left, 2 rounds, so 16 games. And then in terms of when the finals are taking place, the week after the Champions Cup final. So that would end up with it being the 29th of May, that weekend, as when the quarterfinals are taking place. And then it's semis and the final the weeks after. Now, line-out throw here for Ulster. No defending it. It's illegal as soon as Hendo touches him, says Jimbo. And get the bonus, Stormers, says Mahadini. They are 2 tries away from getting themselves the bonus point. Just to clarify again, if the Stormers win this game with a bonus point, no one can catch them on the URC standings. That is if Glasgow were to suffer the loss. Okay, double banking there. That is going to be the penalty on the way of the Stormers. In fact, the way that I described it, we better check this one. So pretty much Glasgow are currently down by 1 in terms of the points department. So I should say that if the Stormers get themselves a bonus point victory, they'll move them to 61. Theoretically, Glasgow could still catch them, but they need to win this game up against Cardiff to be able to do so. They'll be playing Ulster next week. Who's a second row Now for Ulster, Cormac is a Chuckwoo is kind of slotted in as that locking department. We have there, don't think so. Sam Kane did. Says Yanko. How do you feel when your captain gets a red? Do you lose respect for him? Not really. Like, it all happens so quickly. When you do something like that one from Henderson, I think some people probably don't look at him the same way. But, you know, some red cards are just purely accidental. Some of them have intent behind them. But, yeah, I don't think, like, that's the thing. The captain's supposed to be the guy who's leading from the front. But when you've had 15 captains in the season, it doesn't really feel that way, if that makes sense. Like, they've had Sasha, they've had Ruan now, Dion Foree has had the chance. That's a great bit of work in the breakdown from Paul de Villiers there. What chance will Springboks have at 100% win rate in 26? Probably quite slim. Don't get me wrong. They'll probably do all right, but everyone drops one game at some stage. Definitely with the experimentation that will be going on from Rassi heading towards that World Cup in 2027. A quick question, how many New Zealand teams can qualify for the playoffs for the Super Rugby? At the moment, there's a chance of potentially all 5, depending on how the Highlanders go in their game up against the Waratahs, which is going to be taking place in around 9 hours' time. See, Glasgow are starting to find a bit of rhythm too here. But Sasha will have the potential chance of adding the additional 3. Scoreline currently 14 points to 7 in favour of the Stormers. This would extend it out to a 10-point lead. I am slightly surprised by this choice, though, from the Stormers. Sasha is the new captain. You'd assume that he has made this decision rather than taking on the corner. And the kick has gone straight down the middle, so that'll make the score now 17-7. Paul de Villiers already on. What position is he playing? He was number 16 on the bench. He's on for Dion Foree. So I think he's playing as a number 6. In this case, there might be a chance that he changes late, or Andre Hugafenta maybe does play the full 80. But they've still got a couple other handy options, Kiki Morabi as well as Diamani. It's guys that they can bring on nicely. One by Werner Koch there for Ulster. Ball is back on their side, but it's knocked on by Angus Bell. And Damien Valimza. Good inside of his half. Good hands from Ray Smith. Everyone drops one game at some stage. Says, good story. Now backline movement out to Similani. And if I was also, I'd take that as a positive omen. Stormers were not confident to score tries. Says Big Rig and Brumby's task force draw Landers all going for 6. One of them has to get consistent sometime, right? Yeah, well, that's the thing. The Force have done as well as I think anyone expected them to, or actually better than many expected them to. But now if they lose their games from here on out, I feel like there'll be a lot of disappointment for the Western Force side just because of how close they've got it. Score the win, then go for the bonus point. Good choice by the Stormers. Says Johan. Knock on from Sasha, so it will now be the scrum feed for Ulster. Get themselves some much-needed possession during the time where Ulster are down to 14 men. Seems like the Stormers have slightly changed their tactics here, just in recent times. 2 tries for the Stormers, 1 for Ulster. Is Mark playing? Mark who? Which Mark are we talking? Which game are we talking as well? Scrum feed on the halfway line, Ulster. Looks like they have actually brought on... They brought someone on? No, maybe not. Cormac as a Chuckwoo's just gone into that locking department. What score? Says Mohadin, currently 17 points to 7. Oh, Muller playing. No, he's injured. He's out for, I think, 5 weeks or so for the youngster. Now, big scrum, bit of an early push there from the Stormers. Although, to be fair, they had to wait an eternity for Ulster to put that ball in. Okay. Yeah, it is just saying no stability there, so that is why they reset it. Don't care if the Box drop a game or 2. World Cup somewhat matters in 20 years' time. That's the only stat people will remember. Says Burning Lash. Yeah, +7 to go undefeated for a whole season just puts too much, I think, added pressure on the guys. The games that they need to be focused on, like you said, is when we get into that tournament taking place next year. And that's when you need your 100% winning mindset. But for now, it's all about finding those combinations, working out what is going to be the tactical side of things. And I don't think what we see this year is what we're actually going to see from the box next year either. 7 weeks out. I thought he recently made his debut. 5 weeks. Oh, so he is going to be out. But yeah, made the debut for the Stormers. Got injured in that game in his 7 minutes on the field. 1 second, I'm about to sneeze. We are good. Only 24 minutes through this game here. Cardiff have just struck back in the game up against Glasgow too, I do see. Be one that does go down to the wire a little bit, actually similar scoreline to what we're seeing in this game. And if my calculations are correct, it's about 8 a.m. in New Zealand. Almost, yeah, 7:15 for us here at the moment. I believe it's 10 hours ahead of South Africa for our time zones. But daylight savings tries to always make that awkward free kick awarded to Ulster now. They haven't had a lot of attacking chances inside of the Stormers half, let alone their 22. After all, that free kick to Ulster is laughable, says Yanko. Yeah, they'll probably thank the ref for that one, because at the end of the day, playing with 7 in a pack up against a side that do love a scrummage, probably have done quite well to get the ball on their side. Werner Cook with the no-look pass around the back. It's an awkward bouncing one. No touch there for Zach Ward initially. Now Doak back across to the right-hand side again here to Angus Bell. We're trying for the steal. And there is going to be the advantage now in play. Looking for the cross kick. And it is well covered by the Stormers. And it is the penalty awarded to Ulster. And who knows what the laws of the game will be in 12 months. They always mess them up before the Rugby World Cup. That is true. Normally see a few switcheroos there. I'm on 12-0 for Glasgow. See, here's Flesham. Whereabouts are you watching it, Flesham? Is it have you got it delayed yourself, or is it just that's how behind the coverage is? How do you stay awake? Don't you even eat or sleep? Just wondering. Well, I do both of those things, just not much on the weekends. It just ends up working out that way. That's because of covering the Northern Hemisphere and South African rugby side of things. But normally I'll catch up on some sleep at some stage. Normally it's on a Sunday during the afternoon, but that won't be the case this week, as tomorrow, seeing as we're Saturday here in New Zealand now, we're going to be going out for lunch for Mother's Day. So that will affect the sleep, but I'm happy to be a bit sleep deprived for the sake of that. BBC pop up on my computer, it's so behind. And hey, Hamish, do you think when aliens come take over the planet, they'll still let us play rugby? Says Martin. It's probably above my pay grade. We have good there. Hamish don't eat or sleep or mows the lawn. He just says good story. Now short side here for Ulster. Cormac is a chuckwoo. He's going to keep on driving towards the try line. About 7 metres from the line. And this is where they really need to fire back Ulster. 1 Augustus. Moves that little bit closer. Now pick and go. The Ulster chance. They're going around the ground currently. Tom O'Toole, pick and go for him. Tackled by Evan Ruiz. Wanted the steal, but he does lose his footing in the breakdown. Now pick and go, and there is the advantage now for offside against the Stormers. Angus Bell off to Juano Augustus. They're told to get out of there again. The Stormers, they have to be very careful not to end up giving away too many penalties just out from their own goal line, definitely with another advantage now in play against them. Now Doak, decides to join the breakdown. It's going to be Nick Timoney playing half. Good defence from the Stormers just at this point in time. Tom O'Toole goes off to Juano Augustus. Low tackle by Utatuku Machunu. Now still under the penalty advantage. They will move to within 1 metre of the line now. Trying to go for the jump over the top of the breakdown, it looked like, for Charlie Irvine, who was well and truly held up. Now Nathan Doak passed out wide. Werner Cock will score again for the Ulster side. He has got his double. And Ulster back in the game. Excellent commentary, thanks, says David. No worries at all. And we've got plenty more coming up in the near future. We've got the Super Rugby URC Under-20s Rugby Championship. I think New Zealand will produce another Lomu. He was so excited to watch. Arokotoko was also great, says Xander. I don't think there'll be another Lomu, but there'll be another player who's like their own category, because I feel like the comparison, everyone always looks at those older players and goes, is this guy as good as? Whereas some of these young guys, we've got to remember, very different era in terms of the way that the games are played, in terms of how open they are. The old school days when some of those guys were first becoming professional athletes, they'd go to training and they'd go for a pie afterwards, or a couple pints. But nowadays, of course, it's all very highly educated, and they've all done the dietary plans and the tactical side of things. There were tactics back in the day, but one of the tactics for some of the players would just punch someone in the face. That kick has gone over from Ulster. 29 minutes into this game, 17-14. They are still down by a man. Not sure how much longer for. We haven't seen like a time ticking over on that rear guard. I played with Verne at the Pumas back in the day, says Martin. What time is the South African New Zealand under? 24 p.m. South African time. So same time as Benetton Ulster is taking place. Or in fact, 4:10 p.m. But yeah, we're going to be covering that one on the channel. Should be a good game. Don't you think an on-South African, or do you think an on-South African will score this game? I think so. I think Werner Koch is just warming up, though. Wouldn't be surprised if that man gets himself 3 in this contest. Nice take from 1 Augustus. Theoretically, if he was to score, he would still count towards that South African tally, wouldn't he? Nathan Doak looking left. They're going to go for a couple more phases and then look for the kick downfield. Ardre Smith almost turned it into a rolling maul. In New Zealand, do they have tournaments with weight limits? I glimpsed mention of an under 85 kg game. Yes, so they do have that. They were up against Sri Lanka, I believe, which some of the crowds for those games have been absolutely incredible. But, yeah, they have the under 85 kgs, and then I think there's another one as well, but I can't remember which one it is. It might only be in younger grades, actually. And also doing well with a man down. Stormers' decision to go for the 3 is going to haunt them like a Gengar. What's that Gengar? Is that a Pokemon? I think, maybe. Or, no. Is that a Gengar? I don't think I could name you 5 Pokemon. There's Pikachu. But now left-hand side, Sasha. Oh, trying to step there, but has slipped over in the process before being tackled by Postlethwaite. As it goes, Pokemon that haunt people. And rugby is Sri Lanka's second biggest sport. They love the game. And Galant useless when they're getting rid of him. Make so many mistakes, missed tackles. Did not mark the last guy stupid. Says Heinrich. Yeah, he's definitely a 50-50 player, isn't he? Galant, he either has a phenomenal game or an absolutely poor one. And sadly, recently, more poor games than good for Galant. Bit of a counter ruck there from Werner Koch, but the Stormers are on the 22. Sasha looking for the offload. Decides against it in the end. Dragged down by Tom O'Toole. 15 metres from the line for the Stormers now. Andre Ugofenta. Looked like he was going to be playing halfback for a second there, but instead will wait for a potential pass. They go to Ardre Smith. Paul de Villiers plays half. Keep an eye out here for Untotuku Machunu. They are close enough to the try line that man absolutely loves to just run it hard and find a way through the Stormers. Currently 3 metres out. I will mention Ulster, I believe, are back to 15. That rear card has finished. Of course, it will not be Ian Henderson who is back out there on the field. Now, pick and go for Ben Jason Dixon. Sets himself well, although Timoney locks himself over the ball. Referee very quick to give that penalty in favour of Ulster. But Timoney had done the hard work, timing his joining of the breakdown. Slick by Sasha. Oh, quick tap taken. Nathan Doak now. Open space here for the Stormers, for Ulster. As it goes for a counter-attack. Passes out to Werner Koch. And he has missed the tackle there. Sasha eventually dragged down, though. Nathan Doak has the ball for the Ulstermen. And they have turned this defence into attack now. Doak again away to the left. The crowd, tell you what, they have got loud in the last little while. Galant wanting to steal, loses the footing. The process of going for it. Now going away to the left-hand side. Wano Augustus. Tackled by Ahmad Khan. Again, the Stormers had to be careful in this part of the field and they give away the penalty. And that is exactly why they needed to be careful. A little bit of push and shove there between Andre Hugafente and Zach Ward. They wanted to take the quick tap. And a little bit of afters there between Andre Hugafente and Zach Ward. I don't understand why Andre Hugafente is angry. He was running off the field with the ball so that Ulster couldn't take it quickly and then got surprised when they pushed him. I feel like that was probably exactly why they pushed him. How do you feel about the 20-minute red? A permanent red card probably makes the game too one-sided. Says Ando, I don't think that's completely the reasoning behind it. Normally, 20-minute red is for something that they feel isn't serious enough for the full 80, but I would say that could have easily been in the yellow. Does anybody want to see it next season? Because we don't need him, thank you, says David. Well, I was surprised when I saw the Stormers signing him, because you look at their loose forward trio. They got Dion Foree, injury dependent. They got Paul de Villiers, who for me is actually a starting six and should have been starting probably more games than he has this season. You got Ben Jason Dixon, Evan Russ, and then look at these guys off the bench. Diamani, Kiki Morabi. Either two or three guys are leaving that we don't know about yet, or I don't know why But don't get me wrong, great experience. He'll be a handy player to chuck in the environment. Nathan Doak, short ball, they score now. Ulster with Zach Ward. So he goes in for the try. The replay needed to get the ball to Vernicock immediately after the tap kick. Yeah, they just waited a little bit long, didn't they? They tried to get the draw and pass going, but all that did was allow the Stormers to backtrack that little bit further. But Zach Ward does score it in that left wing jersey. They went for the rolling maul initially. And Ruiz just can't help himself, says Jimbo, which is the one thing that has hurt his career so far is that discipline. Also, his dad making phone calls to Rassi, but outside of that, discipline, the big word for Evan Russ. And Dobbo is about to find out, putting people on weird positions to magically turn you into Rassi, says Yanko. And my Stormers doing Stormer things and capitulating. And see, you're going to make the next World Cup? I think so. I've got to remember, World Cup's only sitting around maybe 500 days away now. It might even be, is it less than that? No, there's the exact countdown clock. Nathan Doak has converted. That's going to make the score now 21 points to 17 in favour of Ulster. One second, we'll go like this. Oh, time is off now. I think that is for... Oh, his comms are out. 510 days till the Rugby World Cup. 12 hours, 31 minutes, 22 seconds till the first kickoff game. And it's an eventful one. It's an exciting one. Australia versus Hong Kong, China. They could have had the New Zealand-Australia derby, but they didn't want it for that opening matchup. Surely Rassi has blocked a few dads' phone numbers. I would think so. I think Rassi would have a few people blocked along the way of his career. We have got there, I'm so over the Stormers. We need a new coach. Dobson has been done 5 years ago. And Ulster takes the lead. I thought Stormers sealed the game already, like a samosa with the dipping sauce. What's the story with Evans' dad and Rassi? I think it's all rumours, but apparently Evans' dad rung Rassi and complained about the fact that his son wasn't getting a lot of selection. So Rassi said, okay, and then dropped him from the squad. So, yeah, best not to make phone calls to Rassi about a lack of game time for your son, or else can get you in a bit of trouble. Now you can finally see my face. Think I'm handsome. That's from when I was 24. Says cool story. I can't really see it. It's only a very, very small picture. So I can't tell. It's also got a YouTube logo half over it. So all I can see is your hair and your right eyebrow. Now that one's going to be kicked downfield for Ulster. This one getting close to the halftime break. Just the 3 minutes remaining. The scoreboard is very far ahead in terms of timing. France will lose to the Boks in the Rugby World Cup 2027 final. I tell you, Stormers 8. Ruiz isn't going to be a Bok, given he gives penalties away. Says LB. And it's something that he hasn't really been able to get out of his game. Like, because he's on a massive scoring streak. I think he scored, I can't remember what they said, but maybe like 10 games in a row for the Stormers or something like that. But to go from that to still be criticised tells you that some of his game is a little bit shaky. I was in hospital for a few minutes after I watched the Cheetahs versus Requas South Africa Cup game and got a drip. I want to go back to the hospital again because of the game. Says Hardis. I should get Rob Nicol of the New Zealand RPA. Called Russie, work for Artie. Says Studs Race. And if your dad is a sponsor, you deserve more game time, says Xander. Now away to the left-hand side. Sasha's going to run this ball, stepping through the defence, but eventually does get dragged. Well, does he? He gets back up to his feet. Ahmad Khan. Now, the extended forearm on Nathan Doak. Ball bounces out for Valimza. They're only a couple metres short now, the Stormers side. The score right before the halftime break would be a massive confidence booster. Now Paul de Villiers looking away to the left-hand side. A magic from Sasha, says Jimbo. Yeah, he looked like he was tackled like 4 times and just kept going. Back up to his feet, ready to go and spring him back into the action. 2 metres out now, Untatuko Machunu. Again, I'm looking at that man. Someone who can potentially go over. Even Rossi just created a gap there and the penalty awarded to Ulster. That one was a poor one from Evan Rus. What happened was he joined the breakdown, then he left it and just ran ahead. So created the gap. His teammate really should have noticed though and not just ran straight behind Evan Rus, but the accidental offside there. There's no way that was an Ulster penalty. Unfortunately, Evan Rus, he got back up to his feet, cleaned out a guy who wasn't in the breakdown and also created the gap for his teammate to go through with being offside. So I don't have any issue with that penalty. In fact, he probably got lucky he didn't get penalised twice for the same thing there, Evan Rus. And oh yeah, never mind, that was dumb, didn't see that, says Yanko. And Rus giving away another penalty. Bok dreams are over, says LB. Do you think the Crusaders should speak to Artie Savia as ex-All Black purposes? All Black proposes interesting opportunity amid Whainanaku switch. I think that they'll probably start Artie as a 7 and then have Whainanaku off the bench maybe. Or some sort of switch up where they can use him maybe in a 6-2 split. It's been talked about quite a bit. Now line out throw here for Ulster. And ball thrown in, taken by Nick Timoney. That is the halftime siren here, so I believe Ulster will just look to put this ball into touch. There's no need to take on the risk, although, Doak just kicks it out, and that'll be 21-17 at halftime in this contest. We're seeing the 2 tries from the Stormers, Evan Rus, as well as Sasha Feinberg and Zulu, and for the Ulster side, 2 for Werner Klock, 1 for Zach Ward, so a good day to be a winger if you are wearing an Ulster kit. It's been close. It's been eventful. 20-minute red card for Ian Henderson halfway through. But Ulster have still managed to come out with a 4-point lead. Ulster winning. What insanity. Says Big Rig there. Yeah, I can tell you right now, after that red card, it definitely wasn't something that some thought was going to be the case. But they've managed to hang on quite nicely. What I will do, ladies and gents, while we are at it, is we'll show you what is coming up for these 2 sides. 1 second, we'll go like that. Is this the right one? Yes, it is. So, it's a little bit interesting because both of these sides only have 1 more game of the URC. Next week, they will be playing up against the Glasgow Warriors Ulster, a side that are currently sitting 21-7 up over Cardiff as we speak. And then Montpellier. They have got the final of the Challenge Cup that is taking place on Saturday morning, New Zealand time. Now, I haven't actually found a fill-in for that game as of yet, mainly because I haven't asked anyone. But we will be away for that one. Myself, as well as the other Kiwi lads, we are going to be in Christchurch for the Saturday. I will be back in time for the Champions Cup final. That is taking place 2 a.m. Sunday morning for us here in New Zealand. But sadly, that game, Montpellier versus Ulster, we will still be out of town going to the Crusaders Chiefs game at the new stadium. Decided why not see what it's like, seeing as that'll be the only game I probably see at the stadium the next 5 years. Those tickets do sell very quickly. We did get in early. They're just showing those Werner Klock tries. He has been able to have quite a bit of fun out on that right wing side. For the Stormers, they have got Cardiff. That has taken place next weekend. And then also that interesting match up against New Zealand. That is happening on the 8th of August. And that will be one of the many games we get to see New Zealand take on the South African franchises. Second will go like that. There we go. And we have got there how dangerous is Sasha Slippery Hill when 20 minutes ago. Definitely didn't have Ulster leading at half-time. Says Studs race. As right now, Glasgow is top of the table. Currently, yes. That's why Ruiz isn't in the box set up, says Andy. Pretty unacceptable by Ruiz there. It's Hamish's fault. He paid the referee to pay Ulster to win. Wait, paid the referee to pay Ulster to win. Paid the referee to pay. So you're saying that I gave the referee money and then the referee then gave Ulster that money and like financially backed them to be able to win this game? Ulster have come good this season, says Fleshin. And WTF Evan. And Crusaders Chiefs looks like a belter. Yeah, it's actually worked out really well. I'll be honest, like, yeah. It's one of those games that when we booked the tickets, it was straight after the Super Round. I think it was on the Sunday of the Super Round. That evening we had like a group call organised to get in there, and there weren't a lot of tickets left at that stage. And I can tell you right now, there'll be a lot less, maybe even close to sold out already, with a few seats remaining. But yeah, the fact that that's probably going to be the game that Will Jordan's back, the game that maybe we even see Scott Barrett back, up against a Chiefs side that could be top of the table or at least very close to it. It's going to be a good one. How dare you have a live, says the real pie man. I know, right? But the good news is we've kept it consistent because last year at this around the same time we watched Highlanders versus Crusaders at the old stadium. So slightly channel, I guess, because I might end up doing like a comparison video between the two. But I'm not sure. It's very tricky with Sanzar in terms of what they copyright strike and whatnot. Wouldn't be able to show even a single second of what's happening on the field, or else that would get us in trouble. But I assume showing around the stadium wouldn't be terrible in terms of copyright. And surprised also 8th on the table. Very tight comp, says Studs Race. They have let it slip a little bit the last few weeks, Ulster, I will mention. Before that stage, they were about 4th or 5th, but have drastically dropped in recent times. But now, if they get the win here, certainly help them out. Who's winning the Championship Cup? And my tickets, could this be Leinster's year as the underdogs? Bordeaux look good though, don't they? And I think that for Leinster, like you said, they would come in as underdogs for that game. But, yeah, it's going to be tricky. I'll ask you though, Deirdre. Champions Cup or URC? Which one would you prefer for Leinster to win? You can't win both. Well, you can. Theoretically, they have got a chance. But let's say, for instance, they're only allowed to win one competition. Which one would you prefer? And Evan Ruiz has been Ulster's best attacker. Defender this half, says Gifts. Yeah, he's had a bit of a rough one, hasn't he? He has scored a try, which I think makes it so frustrating for everyone. The fact that the man on attack has so much ability, but defensively just loves doing things wrong, that cost his side. I'm pretty sure Leinster would be favoured, says Kahu. I wouldn't guarantee that. Bordeaux came in as top qualifier for that Champions Cup competition. Champions Cup is harder to win, says Byron. Also, Six Nations success wrecked their season, says Jimbo. That is true. We saw a few Ulstermen in the Six Nations squad. 1 second, I'm scrolling down. Where are we? Okay, unfortunately, they don't have it there at this stage in terms of the odds or anything. Champions Cup is the best. Leinster don't enjoy being favourites and dislike being underdogs too. URC for Leinster, last one though, says Eric. And Champions Cup all day puts URC on the map, says Just Me. This caster only makes non-favourites win, says Mr. Everything. Although some favourites won earlier on in Super Rugby, which ironically was when you weren't here. So maybe it's you that makes the underdogs win, Mr. Everything. Because conveniently, every time you've said it's been me, you have commented. You ever thought about that? Maybe you're actually the jinx of the sides rather than myself. Because I'm here for a lot of favourites winning. But you're not. So, you know, maybe it's your fault. There's some relation between him and non-favourites winning, says Mr. Everything. Okay, so you've done your maths and everything. So of the 2,000 live streams that we've done on the channel, how many underdogs have won, Mr. Everything? You'll have those statistics on paper right in front of you, so let us know. Currently, a little bit of a halftime game going on for, it looks like two junior, or one of them's, I don't know, they're both actually junior women's side. I don't know whether or not they're local teams in Ulster. I would assume they are, in the Ulster region. Currently Cardiff, they are down by 14 points in their game up against the Glasgow Warriors, 21 points to 7. 70. So you're saying 70% of underdogs have won. Well, either you're actually very terrible at maths or you can't count. It's one of the two. I mostly blame Hamish for my circumstances, which is slightly harsh. Says Cool Story Jr. and Champions Cup says Deirdre as the one she'd prefer to win. I guess that's the thing. It's one game away, isn't it? Whereas on the other side of the equation, URC, theoretically for Leinster, they still need to win 3 playoff games to get there. And Wales lose again, says Big Rick. Glasgow only need 1 more try for a bonus point, says Kahu. That is true. The Stormers currently need 2 more in this contest, which I think is more than doable for a side that have got a points differential of, what is it, like plus 200 at the moment, the way that it sits. 1 second, we'll go like this. And we'll go like that. There we go. Yeah, plus 166. Currently Glasgow, they have plus 114. The Bulls sitting with a nice points differential, even though they're relatively low in terms of those top 8 sides, but it's so close at the moment. Whoever's taken the bonus points throughout the earlier stages of the season might be the difference maker in the long run. You cannot count, I know that, 71.22%. You're just making up numbers, Mr. Everything, which is fair enough, but yeah, it's just not correct. We have got their Wales play Ireland tomorrow in the women's, and they will be blitzed, says Big Rig. It looks like the two sides are about to make their way from the field. Very quick little run around. Hashtag Dobson out, says LB. I've been to 4 final losses, so I'll be ecstatic if we win. That does make sense, to be fair. The fact that you've suffered through the slightly heartbreaking, well, very heartbreaking moments. You make Stormers miss the home semi-final, says Mr. Everything. Nah, probably not. But I think we should probably more question your gambling side of things, Mr. Everything, because you seem to back the sides that lose. So have you ever thought about maybe backing the winners? Will make you a lot more money than backing the sides that keep on losing. We're there. I'm considering purchasing Top 14 streaming for June. Would you stream any French club rugby? I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. But I guess if I purchase a subscription again or as well, maybe we could look at it. 5th time is the charm, says Big Rig Joe. Yeah, most sides would have liked to get it by the 5th, but Leinster, boy, they've had some interesting games. The Europeans, I like to drag our South Africans, but they can't even fill a 12k stadium. Embarrassing, says LB. Or maybe they didn't consider the Stormers as a draw in Ireland. Nah, it's like at the end of the day, I find that people who like go back and forth about stadium like attendance are normally like just not worth it, really. Like in terms of, there are many other things you could talk about for the rugby. There are many things you could celebrate from the games. Like, remember COVID? Remember when we couldn't even have one like fan in the stands for the British and Irish Lions tour? Like, at least we've got people going to games. They had an event at Eden Park recently. It was like an Oceania football thing. They had 260 people in the stands for a double header. So, like, anything more than a couple people watching, I consider as a bonus. Because at the end of the day, it depends on the game, it depends on the timing, it depends on what else is on. There's many factors. You know, it's the same as when we see a South African match when there is like a long weekend. You don't see as many people there because most people going away for that weekend. Whenever you are casting and I turn up, underdogs start playing like champions. So, sorry, your quote there, and I turn up. So it's your fault, Mr. Everything. We've seen many favourites when you haven't been here. It's when you show up. It seems to be that the underdog start doing all right. I should make a special shout out to the Lions. They've changed things around, says Just Me. I wish you've never been so right ever, says Cool Story. And I keep on betting on losing teams. One day they will win and you become rich, says Short Videos. And Glasgow look pretty good so far. Cardiff is a pretty good side, says Kahu. Yeah, I always talk about Cardiff as a side that even though they are in the top 8, and even though they've been in the URC for a long time, we've covered multiple games on the channel of Cardiff, I still don't know what their real ability is. You know, they either go out there and play absolutely incredibly or they do really struggle. When it's the British and Irish Lions tour, 2029 will be the next one, and that'll be taking place in New Zealand, although there are talks of extending it to maybe Japan. But, and also maybe Europe, I think, was the other thing, like maybe France. Now, about to kick this one off for the second half, it will be Sasha Feinberg, Mugame Zulu. get us underway. He has scored himself a try already in this contest. Where can I watch the game live? URC TV. Christoph would be your best bet, depending on where you are in the world, though. If that's the Welsh in them, Cardiff is Welsh after all. Says Kahu, nicely taken by Juano Augustus inside of his 22, 40 minutes away from a crucial result for both of these sides. Either Ulster, if they get themselves the win in this contest, that can half-by book them a spot through to the playoffs, although nothing guaranteed as of yet. But I can tell you right now, if they get the win here, they'll be a lot closer. That one's going to be kicked into touch by Nathan Doak. This will be about 40 metres out from the line now. The Stormers will have the line out. I see Tom Stewart has made his way onto the field off of the bench. And that was for James McCormack. Not sure how to take that, says Fleshin. In there as well. Now line out here for Andre Jugafenta. This one's nicely thrown in, taken at the back by Ben Jason Dixon. Straight away sacked by Ulster. What made you appreciate things on such profound level today? Says Cool Story Jr. I assume that's like in terms of like attendance side of things. I just find currently, and it's got worse as well, like the rugby community in general across social media has never been in a more dark and negative place than it is right now. And it's a sad reality. There's been that much back and forth between everyone that now no one knows who they like and who they hate. Now going away to the left-hand side, they're going to be liking this one here, the Stormers, with Lelion's ass scoring the early try in the second half. But I just feel like it's already enough negativity around. Like, you don't need to pick at just the little negatives of games when you've got so much positive that is happening in the rugby world as well. But that is a positive for the Stormers, their third try. And now Lelion's ass scores early on. That gives them the lead back. Say, half-decent hot dogs. Attendance will increase 100-fold, says Ander. How's it, Hamish, says Terrence. They're just showing it there. Uh-oh. Okay, Ben Jason Dixon did tackle Michael Lowry in the air there. The crowd are not happy about it. They may check this one. There are some bollocks chatted on social media nowadays, says Flesh, and there is. Like, the first thing that happens if you go on social media and search anything rugby related, you'll see people having an argument about something that in like a week doesn't matter. You'll see people still talking about something that happened 10 years ago and still arguing about it. And you'll see there's not a lot of good stuff out there, unfortunately, which there should be. Like I said, we're close to a World Cup. It seems that the box is still on top, but the gap is closing, says Kevin. Right, they're going to show the replay here again. So Lowry goes up for the ball, and then from there, he is tackled in the air with an early hit from Ben Jason Dixon. It's not much, but it might be substantial enough for them to call it as tackled in the air penalty against the Stormers. I try to not argue on socials as principle, says Luke. And we have got there in a week, people argue about stuff that doesn't matter now, says Yanko. You could look up cute dog gifs and people will be arguing about religion or something in the comments. And lots of YouTubers fuel the rubbish rugby chat, says Studs Race. Yeah, but it's like, that's the thing. I used to quite enjoy going on like rugby groups and whatnot just to see what the general consensus was. But nowadays I only go on to look at lineups. And that's it. So, like, when you guys are talking about breaking rugby news, I've missed half of it because I just don't go on it. Is it dark and sad because South Africa has been on top for a while? I don't think so. I think that, like, it's just unfortunately down to, like, nowadays everyone loves, like, a random argument for no reason. I think positively normally picks up during test season, says Just Me. And games are games. Once they end, that's it. Can't change the result, says Fleshin. True. Like, they're not going to come out after a game and go, oh, sorry, that decision was wrong. We're going to reverse the points. I think they've done that once, didn't they, actually? Was the UR? Or did they apologise? I think there was a game that, like, there was an apology, but it didn't change the result. Now running forward, it's going to be Zach Ward. Nathan Doak away to the left-hand side. Ulster now with a chance to score their bonus point try through the hands, and Lowry scores in the corner. And Ulster now take the lead by a little bit further. The Stormers scored. They did, but then it got cancelled. And now Ulster have scored to make the score 26-17. And we have there, love me some Squidge Rugby. And yeah, but it was taken back, says Yanko. And Michael Lowry, the important try there for his Ulster side with 35 minutes left on the clock, as that has secured them at least a bonus point. And again, bonus points could be the difference between making it through to the playoffs and missing out for many of these teams. So you are a curse, says Mr. Everything. Once again, you are still here, and an underdog is winning. So I think it's more so yourself, Mr. Everything. But to the halfway line in that Glasgow-Cardiff game, they have just started their second half, about 4 minutes in, so a couple minutes behind this one. In Glasgow, they won't know the result of this game currently. The way that it is shaping, they could take number one spot heading into the final round. Now Nathan Doak, oh, he's taken too long for the kick. It would have gone over, I think, but the shot clock had reached 0. You're right. People are looking for more random arguments. Like on Mist, where you just make fun movies. People still fight in the chat. And the bonus point just hurt Connacht. This game is like a roller coaster. Yeah, big time. I don't fight online. And if you're talking about my rice, you'll have it. So Andy Goode got mad at Squidge Rugby, saying only rugby players can criticise rugby players, which is absurd, says Big Rig. Yeah, that takes a lot of people out of the equation, doesn't it? Okay, Piatti has just called over both captains, and he said, look, boys, you're complaining about absolutely everything that's happened. You got to trust me and trust the TMOs. So yeah, Valimza and Timony both told there to behave. We have there, wake up Stormers, there's Dylan. Now Juan Augustus, his foot was in touch. I don't know how they've missed that. No, in fact, now they call it back. And it will now be the line out for the Stormers, 22 metres from the line. I cannot stand my Stormers. Oh, this ref is atrocious. I cannot stand my Storm. Wait, so you don't like your own team? LB. Piatti seems like a pretty nice guy, but not sure I love his refereeing. He's always interesting, Piatti. Like, he's chatty at times. Piatti suggests SDFU. Now, that one's going to be played in the air. I thought by Cormac as a chuck move should be an advantage and play for the Stormers, and it is. Ben Jason Dixon are just pushing down on that foot to all else. Here's Yanko. Now rolling more here again. Looks like another advantage going against Ulster. This game is far from over, ladies and gents. There is still plenty of time, and there's probably still a card or two still remaining here. Sasha thought about the Waikato pass, but he goes for the grubber in behind. Ulster don't clean it up there. Oh, it was almost left. And now Lelion Zas ends up with the ball 1 metre short. I'm surprised they didn't go back for the original advantage, but I guess that may have played out. Ahmad Khan goes to Evan Russ. It will be 1 metre short. He's going to be held up in the in-goal area. They'll go back now for that penalty. What's the score? It says 26-22. Well, it is 26-17. At the moment, they don't want to take that last try back from the Stormers. But hopefully the online scoreboard sorts itself out. I said that the clock is still ticking over. So I'd like to think we're not a mile away from it behaving itself. Hang on, we'll grab that. And we'll give that a bit of an adjustment. There we go. That's the way we'll set it for now. There we go. I'd like to hear your take, Hamish. Why can't South African sides match Irish sides in club rugby? Says Flapjack. Well, I think depending on the side you're talking about, it's probably not the most accurate statement. I think that both sides have their decent showings against the opposition. Like, this year we've seen the Stormers top of the table. They've been in some great Irish teams. And also, like, it just game by game sometimes changes. It looks like a line out here. Well, the Stormers 5 metres out from the line looking to get themselves another one. So try was, I wasn't awarded here. Tackle correct, yes. So tackling Michael Lowry in the air was Ben Jason Dixon. Although he didn't really have a choice, he landed in his lap. But now ball's at the back of the rolling maul. Here for the Stormers as Andre Hugo Fintas tries to get that one moving. The ball has come out the back. Cormac is a Chukwu told to let that one go. Ahmad Khan cross to Damien Valimza, who will run it hard and straight at the opposition line. Ruben van Heeren only a few metres out. Timony looking for the steal. Can't get it. Ahmad Khan, he reaches out. He may have knocked it on short, or he might have just brushed the try line. And if he's got there, he looks unsure. He maybe he thinks he's got it down. So try wasn't awarded. And Ruiz needs to score to make up for what he's done to South African rugby. Does he need to score again? Because he's already got one in this game. But Ahmad Khan, we're going to see it now. He was a couple meters out initially when he had contact made on him. Then he stretches and, yeah, gets the ball down on the line. That should be a try for the Stormers here. That was down, sees Yanko. Going to see the replay now. Doak was trying to stop it from being grounded. Yeah, he gets it down on the line, and it's a nice, easy one too, between the posts. So it should lead to a certain 7. And try, says Jimbo. And there as well, this game still has a couple late turns in it. Like I mentioned, still 32 minutes remaining. More than happy. Ahmad Khan after that try. Greatest soccer player of all time in terms of 25 years and scoring thousands of goals and never having the ball taken away from him. Must be Roy of the Rovers. I've never heard of Roy. Unless you're talking about, is it like Roy Keane? Is that his name? Maybe I do know Roy. Yeah, they get that down. I don't know why we're checking it 15,000 times. I think that is a clear grounding. Right. It is going to be awarded as the try. The Stormers do move back to 22 now. It'll probably take a while to give them it. Please Google Roy of the Rovers. I don't watch a lot of football though, so I'm probably not the guy who's going to get enjoyment out of the information. That one has gone over. 24-26 now between these two sides. Is that number 23 de Klerk, South African, says Martin? I think so. Willems, that's a South African name, isn't it, Willem? I guess it's kind of like William, isn't it? Willem, you're not quite. Yeah, I think he's South African, from what I remember. Nice take there from Sasha, who is tackled inside of the 22. No, he's Bolivian, says Yanko there. I didn't even know Bolivia had rugby players. Roy the Rover was pre-war comic book character. Are you a good human? Are you have a good spirit, says Chris. I try. Nice take from Werner Koch. I think it annoys some people, though, that I try and find positives in situations that don't have a huge amount of them. Although this game's been more than enough of a positive for these two sides. Top of the table clash, or 1 versus 8, I should say. It could actually be what we see in the quarterfinals, depending on the result here. He never lost a game in his career and once scored 18 goals in 1 match, says Kevin. Sounds like he needs to play someone older than the under-6s. Now going away to the left-hand side. Now Simalani stepping back on the inside there. I was just being sarcastic. I don't think they do, says Yanko. And we have got there, who do you think is going to win the Champions Cup final? Bordeaux will be hard to beat, but Sasha now, big fend there. Ball on the inside to Damien Willemse. If anything, he passed it just a little bit too early, though. And now Ulster having to defend just out from their line. Ahmad Khan knocks it on. That maybe was played on the ground from Ulster. Sasha's sticking his finger in the face of Nathan Doak, and he is begging the referee to check this one. Your clock was more accurate before, says Cool Story. Yeah, it seems like it's a little bit ahead, isn't it? And we have got there, Sasha is outrageous, says Jimbo. He's had a lot of good carries throughout this game, and he has just been finding gaps for fun. But I think that something happens in this breakdown that stops Ahmad Khan from picking this ball up cleanly. Gonna see the replay now. Oh no, he had already knocked it on Ahmad Khan at the time that Doak made contact. So, yeah, nothing there. And it will be the scrum feed for Ulster 5 metres out. They has to be playing the ball on the ground. It was only after the knock-on. Yeah, so he had lost the ball already and then Doak jumped on it. So, yeah, they are just going to call it as the knock-on from the Stormers. And he played it a little bit earlier. Could have been in a bit of trouble, though, Doak. As it probably would have been towards yellow card territory. He fumbled it first. Says Yanko. The Stormers, I think they fumbled the chance to score there. Sasha had Damien Willemse with him. Is the score correct? No, it's 20. There we go. Now it is correct. 26-24 the moment between these two sides. Cheating is okay so long as the other team mess up first. And that Werner Koch is such a rooster. And this caster will make sure Ulster wins easily. So here's Mr. Everything. And please update the score tag. We have just done it. I've got to shake the mouse every once in a while, and it sometimes behaves itself. Now, picked up there, Juan Augustus breaking through Ahmad Khan. And now moving up to 22 metres out from his own line. That was a very good carry. Damien Valimza almost on the ball to win the turnover. Referee has a conversation with him there just on the ground and said, you were off your feet. Now back line. Angus Bell, the big Aussie. Nathan Doak, if they can score now, Ulster, they'd be in a good position. Even Russ rushing up quickly in defence. Now to the right, Doak goes to McElroy. A bit of a leg lift there from Ben Jason Dixon. Back across again for Doak. And well, Glasgow has won. Well, they're 21-7 up. I wouldn't consider that a win as of yet. They'll definitely be chasing that bonus point if they can get it. A couple spins there from Zach Ward. It's good face play from Ulster. They haven't really made a huge amount of metres as of yet, but now it's starting to look decent. Similani, low tackle on Juan Augustus. They're fighting for the position here. Every single breakdown. Cormac is a Chukwu. Two-man tackle on him. Shakes mouse for a like. Says Eric. Is Arsha meeting Carter's status yet? Also, Ruiz versus Augustus, who gets the box nod. I think Augustus's discipline is helping him out, but Ruiz, there's no denying that man is great on attack. He just makes too many mistakes when it comes to defence. Now, the referee Piatti told them to get out of that breakdown. Stormers continuing to try and steal it. Dobson out. Says LB. Now back across there, left-hand side. Timony. Oh, that was high from Sasha. And that was not a lot of arms involved either from the number 10. They may be checking this one as we speak, but it was an ugly-looking collision between the two men. Short side now. Ulster move up to 40 out. Nathan Doak manages to just clean out that breakdown. The Stormers team look way higher quality. Just out of sync, really out of sync. And to the Stormers score they did before, 26 points to 24, the current scoreline after 52 minutes. Now back across to the right-hand side. Wide cut out pass to Lowry. Now Werner Koch on his outside. Doesn't get it to him, and the penalty awarded to the Stormers. Right, did anything get checked for that Sasha collision from earlier on? They're just talking about the potential high tackle from Sasha, although it doesn't look like they're actually going to check it. It looks like it's just going to be play on. The crowd are not happy about it. Dobson is doing just all right, says Dylan. Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? You sit number one on the table. Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. Just a bit of shoulder on shoulder between those two men. I think it made it look worse than it was. The way that both men kind of sprung backwards. But yeah, sitting number one in the standings for the group stage. And people want to sack you. It's pretty difficult being a coach, isn't it? Make sure you give the Stormers a red, bro. Says Mr. Everything. You make me laugh, Mr. Everything. We have got there. I hope the Stormers can go back to their old logo. I don't think they will. I think they're happy enough with the new one for now. They learned that stealing in Cape Town at a young age, says Martin Meyer. And these boys are bred for rugby right from the get-go. All these guys playing loose forward for their whole careers, knowing how to get those steals in the breakdown when it matters most. Just look at someone like a Paul de Villiers. He has been absolutely phenomenal. That tackle looked fine to me from a South African perspective. It looked fine to me from the opposite angle too. That first collision, the way that Sasha flew backwards, it made it seem like maybe he was a slightly rocked, which made me think maybe a head was involved. But from there, the other angle made it just look like a good shoulder-on-shoulder contact between the two men. Now, ball is on the side of the Stormers. Ahmad Khan sitting around the halfway line. The new logo and jersey is doing just fine, says Dylan. That's some good post-contact meterage, but the ball has been dropped by Ben Jason Dixon. 5 minutes ago, Stu Parramatta scored 2 tries, then I lost. Says Miss Everything. Oh, so you're saying that Parramatta lost in a game that we weren't covering and an underdog won. Interesting that. It's as if that's what sport is. Is now the time we start blaming the ref, or do we wait a little longer, says Xander? Some people like to get in early. 55 minutes in, there's already been a couple complaints about Piatti, but I don't think it's been too bad as of yet. I think we've seen worse refereeing. Just look at that bloody Chiefs versus Reds game. That was an absolute shocker. Hamish's generation mostly cares about digital stuff. See his cool story? Yeah. And if I was an Ulster fan, I would have wanted that at least looked at, says Bleshin. Well, I think the crowd were booing initially, but then the replay, I think, cleared it up for a lot of people, how it was not actually anywhere near as bad as it first looked. I am in the Chiefs-Reds game. There were a lot of interesting decisions, to say the least. And to be fair, the Crusaders-Blues game had a few of those too. I disagreed on him on a couple calls, but most of the replays, Joey was corrected. I would have thought the test level ref knows and sees more than me, says Yanko. 8 times multi got screwed by stupid Parramatta Eels in the last 5 minutes for $1.1 odds. Well, you shouldn't have backed them if they were going to lose. Or sorry, if they were going to win. You got to work out who's going to win before the game and then put the money on the winner. That's the best way of gambling. Who's ball, says Mohadeen. Currently, it will be the scrum feed for the Stormers here. And bet you're going to inject some fresher pumping legs for the Stormers. Yeah, see, they've still got a few handy options, don't they? They've got Nkura, they've got Yuri Matia, they've got Dai Armani, Kiki Morabi, all still to make their way on. But scrum feed here for Ulster. That ball hardly comes out. It should have almost been a scrum penalty to the Stormers side. Tackle made by Paul de Villiers. And now the advantage. And it's going to be for a knock on. Back across the left, Sasha. Goes on to Fanhiren. Now chip him on from Sasha. Looking for the bounce of the ball. He got it, but then he knocks it on. Lowry has put his body on the line. The 15, it looks like he's hurt his face. RF standards seem lower in all sports currently, making me think it's always been bad. It's just thanks to technology that most fans are aware of it now, says Enzel. Yeah, see, that's why, like back in the old school days, I actually liked the refereeing side of things. Because if a referee got it wrong at the time, like, it is what it is. Referees are human. They will make mistakes just like we see the players dropping the ball, giving away penalties, etc. But, like, that's why I find, in some regards, for the flow of the game, club rugby is the way to go, because at least the referee's decision is final. Whether it's right or wrong, it's final. There's no argument. But all the TMO has done is correct mistakes made by the referees, and also in doing so has made the referees that reluctant to make their own mind up because of the fact that they can be like pretty much called out as wrong, and then that throws them off for the whole game. So, like, don't get me wrong, some decisions, of course, do need check. But at the same time, referees need to have some sort of power and need to be able to make a decision and say, you know what, I actually think this is the right call. How dare you suggest a ref might be human? C.S. Fleshin. I hope the fullback wasn't planning on modelling after rugby. And come on, whose balls is Mohadeen? It is going to be Ulsters after a knock-on from Sasha Feinberg and Zulu. We have you there, I think, even Ben 10. I was before your time. Why are you so young? I mean, I'm young because I wasn't born earlier. Maybe. I don't think I ever watched Ben 10. Ben 10 was a thing when I was about, though, as a youngster. And we got the blue hearts there from Alistair. A ref can overrule the TMO. They can, but it's not very often you see it happen. In fact, the only one that we've seen recently that a referee overruled the TMO was when the referee was still wrong. But, yeah, it's a tricky balance. Ben 10 is like 20 years old. See, here's Big Rick. Oh no, in fact, the ball is going to be here for for the Stormers with the quick tap. Ray Hugo Fenta going away to the left-hand side. Evan Ruiz, another two-man tackle on him. Now going left-hand side. Who is the final say, TMO or ref? Well, the TMO is only supposed to be there to help advise for the referee to make his full decision. But most of the times recently, TMO are the big decision makers. And the referee just go with what they're told. That one's going to be knocked backwards by the Stormers. Bit of a fumble with the ball. Still 23 minutes remaining and only 2 points separating these two sides. Too much reliance on Sasha Feinberg and Zulu magic. Big boys need to go up the guts. Always trying to be cute. That one's going to be kicked in behind. That is a massive mistake there from the Stormers. I am not sure what the tactic was. Oh, it was a 22 dropout, was it? Oh, no, it wasn't. He just tried a low kick. Why is it a 22 dropout? It should be a scrum. In that case, yeah, Sasha's not happy about it. Although he then has a big smile on his face. Was it a drop kick attempt? That looked like it was a kick on the full. Oh, and drop ball for Sasha there. He won't be smiling about that one, I can tell you that right now, as he's just given Ulster a golden opportunity to get the attack going. Just thinking about the flow of the game. The more it flows, the more your interaction with the audience is compromised. Says Mark, yeah, although we still squeeze it in anyway. Relatively well. Perfect example of that is the Blues Crusaders game. 40 minutes of rugby was played, 43 minutes it took in real time, and we still managed to read all the chat that was coming through. One moment, I'm about to sneeze. And there were quite a few people in that chat. I feel like you just find the balance. You know, each time a scrum happens, you got a good minute. And that's normally when you can squeeze in the ones that you're behind with. Come on, the Stormers, you can do this. Sears Heather. The real test of age is The Simpsons. Or was The Simpsons good when you started watching it? I never really watched much of The Simpsons, to be honest. Like, I liked it. I played a lot of Simpsons Hit and Run. Anyone who knows that game on PlayStation 2, that used to be a great game. World Rugby's not helping them by changing laws all the time. Exactly right. And there's too many laws as well. Now, a counter right from the Stormers results in possession back on their side. Evan Russ going away to the left. Now, Similani passes one more on. That's a man who we haven't seen a lot of. Dan Duplessis does get the ball for a second. Werner Koch looking for the steal and the breakdown and turns it over for Ulster. Crowd has been enough to be irritating the Stormers. Those CS Cool story. Downside of being a star like Sasha is that little mistakes are unforgivable, says Flapjack. Yeah, huge amount of pressure on that man's shoulders. I mean, earlier on it was talked about, is he at the Dan Carter level as of yet? And for a young guy, like, of course you love an occasional comparison, but to have your whole career for the early stages when you're just still developing compared to someone who was like an all-time great, you see it all the time in every position too. Same with New Zealanders. As soon as you're a decent winger, it's, are you the next John Olomu? Or, oh, that's a nice pick and go there for the Stormers. They are moving forward, but, you know, it's just added pressure that a young player does not need. Going off to the left-hand side, Ruben van Jaren. Diving in off the feet with Zachary Portham. Probably lucky not to get penalised there, but Paul Davilliers now. We're into the final quarter of the game. The ball is dropped, but it went backwards. That one's gone forward, though, from Warwick Lant. And it will be another Ulster scrum. And just leave the game as is and give the rest power back, and maybe you'll allow a push once in a while. So here's Enzel. And come on, the Stormers, says Mohadeen. And also we got the hearts there from Alistair. And why is your nose like Rudolph, says Martin, because of hay fever, unfortunately. Well, I'm hoping it's hay fever anyway. It would be a shame to be sick again after only being sick about 4 weeks ago. No, it's Thundercats. Hamish won't even know what that is. Says Cool Story. And Stormers. Says Youngco. Every year, same story, Dobson out. Says LB. I mean, they're currently only 2 points down at this point in time. And they are still sitting number one on the table just for now, up until Glasgow get themselves the win over Cardiff, which looks like it is shaping up. Just to put it into perspective as well, Ulster versus Stormers, this game started about 2 or 3 minutes before the Glasgow-Cardiff second half did. And now Glasgow versus Cardiff is about 3 minutes ahead. Hopefully Ulster do not blow it. I'm not going to lie, guys. These Base 44 apps got to me. And I managed to vibe code a slop app during the course of this rugby game. I hope Hamish doesn't read this out loud. Whoops. Hamish being too young for Batman, the animated series, makes me sad, says Big Rig. Now off the field, Juano Augustus. I haven't seen a lot of things, though, if it makes you feel better. But I did mention earlier on this week, I watched 2 whole movies with my parents, which is unheard of. I haven't watched a movie in like 6 months. What a game. It's been within reach for both sides for the whole distance so far. Yeah, it's been one of those seesaw ones that I think one big moment here could shape the remaining time on the clock. Oh, no hook from Ulster. Free kick to the Stormers. So the ball thrown in on the angle. That is a penalty or a free kick you don't see too often. Cardiff might be close to scoring here. Or is it Glasgow? It might be Glasgow. I don't think you understand. Stormers have the players to outplay every team in the comp easily. They fall short every damn game. Well, not every game. Disappointing in Dobson out, says LB. They've had a few good games this season, to be fair to them, and this one might be one of them if they can get over the line here. Ruben van Heeren, just short of the goal line. Now, Zachary Porthin, youngster, going away to the right. Now close, an advantage in play. This has to be a try for the Stormers side with where they are on the field. Ben Jason Dixon rolls it back to the vet. Going away to Sasha. He will go over and he scores the try for his double. As they take the lead now with 16 minutes left. And we have the Ulster have had a rough run of games. Really hoping they don't drop out of the top the top 8. Yeah. Like, they're finished to the competition, and it's actually the sad reality of it as well is because they've done so well in the Challenge Cup, I think it's heavily impacted their season of the URC. And, it's not a bad problem to have if they go on and win that Challenge Cup game up against Montpellier, and even making the final is still a pretty massive achievement for this Ulster side. But through having those games, they've had to experiment a little bit with their URC sides, which I think has just given them a lack of consistency across their lineups. Because early on in the comp, they were looking like the best team. And I don't even hesitate to say that. They were looking, at times, unbeatable throughout the first half. But sadly, just due to the amount of changes and the amount of games they've been playing, it seems like it's gotten a little bit more difficult for them. I'd love to see them in the top 8, though. I feel like they thoroughly deserve it, even with a slightly lower finish than maybe anticipated. Munster, Leinster, Stormers, Glasgow last 4 games of the season. Says Emmett and Sasha Feinberg Zulu needs to bring the heat for the box this year. I can see the junior box 210s pushing him the next 2 to 3 years, says Enzo. When we're close to the sideline, it looks like the ball has stayed in the field of play, and Hashiva Diamani has got the possession here for the Stormers. About 25 metres out from their own line. Currently with that 5-point lead. Is it going to be enough? It is very hard to say. Balls will be in the finals, says Martin. One's going to be box kicked by Paul Devet. Werner Koch manages to win the ball for his side. It just stays on their side for now. And now Lowry. Man, he's having to fight hard for that position. But in the end, it's taken by Ben Jason Dixon. This is now the Stormers' big chance. They sit up by 5. If they score now, they win this game, I would think. Way to the left, Leleon Zas. He's already scored 1. Sasha Hayes rounds have ever get quiet again as usual. Why aren't you showing try scorers like you always do international test aimers? Says Victor, mainly because there's so many of them in these games that we just normally tell people who ask. So for the Irish, we have seen the 2 tries from Werner Koch, 1 from Zach Ward, 1 from Michael Lowry. For the Stormers, Sasha Feinberg and Zulu has got 2, Leleon Zas has got 1, and Evan Ruz the other. I'll make sure Ulster wins all the Stormers fans out here, says Mr. Everything. It's a knock on this time from the Stormers and then Ulster, so it will be the scrum feed for Ulster on their 22. Stormers a bonus point already, correct. Yes, both sides have the bonus point from this game at this point in time. And Sasha Feinberg and Goma Zulu, that's 2 people. So here's short videos. We have got there also fitness and cohesion from here, says Mark. There's the booing again coming from the crowd. Looks like Werner Koch has a bit of an injured shoulder at the moment. He's actually shaking out the opposite shoulder too. The ladies call him Sasha Feinberg, says Big Rig. Now 13 minutes remain in this contest. We've slightly caught back up with the Glasgow-Cardiff time. URC bonus point rule is bad. Do you prefer... Oh, that's a hard landing for Werner Koch, to be fair, in the air. For Leleon Zas. Doesn't seem like it's going to be a change decision, though. Just a very hard landing for Koch. Looks like Ben Jason Dixon also going to make his way off the field for Kiki Morabi. Makes his way on. But yeah, I do like the 3 or more tries than your opposition setup. Just means that if you win, you have to win comfortably. And honestly, Stormers look the better boxer. But Ulster giving it more, says Cool Story. We appreciate effort you put into a league your country isn't even in, says Dylan. Yeah, we've covered a lot of games of the URC on the channel. I think we've covered it ever since the first season. So it almost feels like it's tradition now. Continue with these late night streams or early morning, depending on what time it is. Here in New Zealand, ball is available now, and that almost looked like an advantage arm was going up for Piatti before he brought it back in. Now going to the right-hand side. Whose ball at the moment is Ulster's. They have got 14 minutes to try and score and convert. Imagine a draw here. That would make things very interesting heading into the final round. And Nathan Doak kicks it downfield. Werner Koch. He was thinking about going up for the ball. Leaves it for Geland, who does drop it, but it goes backwards. Big shot on him, but a bump off of Timony. Now Geland. Let's get it back to Paul the vet. That was a forward pass from Damien Valimza out wide. And that is now going to go back. In fact, it might have been... No, it was Damien Valimza. The money is in the Northern League, Super Rugby. It's not what it was, mate, says Yenzel. Yeah, see, people always say that, but I still thoroughly enjoy covering Super Rugby on the channel, and I find many of the games each weekend entertaining. I know that people have their different judgments of what they want to see in a rugby competition and, you know, what they want to see in terms of crowd numbers and derbies and rivalries and everything, but, like, I still love Super Rugby. Maybe I'm the exception, though, because I love all competitions. But there's still plenty of positives in Super Rugby. Maybe many more than some look for. Chains are off now. Ulster needs next score. 14 men go on. Says Eric, although they're 15 men now. Ian Henderson only off for the 20-minute red card. And also we have got Go Stormers Go, says Heather. Now, the hook has been in play for Ulster. Breaking off the back is their number 20. And Bryn Ward. And for the steal and the breakdown with the Stormers. Both sides still have more than enough chance of being able to win this game. Werner Koch does hold the key for Ulster once again on the attack. Now you draw it and make them lose. Cheers, Misty, everything. Once again, though, it seems to be that the teams that you back lose. So, you know, maybe back the winner. Now, that one's going to be a stealing opportunity in the breakdown. Pasasha, but can't quite get the ball. What has been your biggest differences between Super Rugby and URC games? Tempo, I would say, is the big difference maker. Now, ball on the outside. No, Beck going to run it himself here. The big number 18 moves it up to 18 out from the line. But now looking for the steal. Paul Davillier straight in off his feet. And this one might be considered as relatively cynical there too. Now Ulster, numbers on the right, but just an ankle spot tackle from Stefan Nkura. Now away to the right again, moving it on. Chance here, Tom Stewart down the wing. Ulster are well and truly on the hot attack here. They need the try and they need it soon. Another advantage will go against Kiki Morabi. Now passed across. Offload again for Ulster. Postle's weight hasn't had a lot of runs. Now Doak goes to the left, moving it on. Wide cut out pass. Werner Koch for the corner and the hat trick. He scores again up against the Stormers. I feel when I comment it's a bad move. Says here, that may have slightly jinxed it there. If it makes you feel better, I think I've commentated cursed a few sides in terms of tries being scored. There was one in Super Rugby. I said that nothing had happened. And then there was a try about 30 seconds later. Numbers and money speaks. Super Rugby is not growing. Also not preparing players as well for the international game as years go by. Although numbers-wise for Super Rugby, last year they had a record year in terms of viewership. This year it's not too bad either. So, like, people are viewing Super Rugby. It's just, it seems to be the general consensus from outside of New Zealand and Australia seems to be that people don't like the competition anymore. More competitive than Reds versus Chiefs, says Sean. Yeah, that game was really bad. Reds versus Chiefs, it was awful. We over there, how long, says Mohadeen. And also, such cheaters. I saw so much BS in the rucks there. Can't stand bad refs, man, says LB. Well, the best way to deal with that is to become a referee yourself. Because that way you have 100% control over the decisions made. So referee school, I think it takes a few years to get fully qualified, but go for it. I highly recommend it, and then you can ref the URC. I don't think I've ever heard you say a game was awful before. Says Big Rig. I've had a few. One that comes to mind was it Sharks versus Benetton? Was it this year? No. There was one game that the Sharks were involved in that was just not good. We have got there. Hi, Hamish. We played rugby. Or we played rugby at a high school against Ermello Primary School, the biggest derby in our town. We won 43-0. Geez, that's a bit of a brutal one for a derby then. Lots of South African tries at least, says Cool Story Junior. And I will mention that kick is missed, ladies and gentlemen. So the score remains 31-31 with less than 10 minutes remaining. More than one Sharks game. Says Studs Rays, nice take from Bryn Ward. He's had a bit of an impact since making his way off the reserves bench. Currently, Glasgow have secured a bonus point victory, or at least it looks that way with 8 minutes remaining. So it puts the pressure on for the Stormers to be able to win this game. The draw is still on the cards, though. Unbelievable, full of curse, man. You are just unbelievable. Well, the best way to do it, Mr. Everything, would be just don't back any sides. If you're not good at gambling, don't gamble. If you're good at gambling, still probably don't gamble. But you're also a very repetitive human being in terms of you have nothing new to say each time you're on a stream. So, come up with something else. Ashish's game really could end in a draw. It really could. And do they go to golden points, says Xander? No, not in the URC. A draw is a draw. But now, Andre Hugafenta, ready to throw it in. He has to play the full 80 due to that early injury of Dion Foree that we saw Paul de Villiers make his way on. Loose ball at the back, but it's cleaned up by de Villiers again. Vernicock would make a good flank. He is brilliant in the breakdowns in terms of the way that he's able to steal that ball. Also, for the size of the man, don't get me wrong, he's not a small individual, but he packs a punch in terms of what he's able to do out there on the field, running at players much bigger than him and getting through. Now, Nkura kicks it high. This ball coming down now on the side of the Stormers, but it's picked up by Ulster, and it's a line break opportunity, running towards the corner. He's going to run out of pace there. That was poor from the number 22. I don't know what Jake Flannery was doing. He never cut back inwards and just seemed like he was accepting the fact that he was going to get driven out. It looks like Sasha's hurt his knee, though, in the process of making that tackle, or perhaps winded himself. Scored the most goals as a Franciscan in Pretoria. The next team that scores will be in the league. True fact, says Bruce. That is correct. But yeah, Flannery just never looked like he looked on the inside. And I don't know what he was thinking there. I guess he didn't want to intercept for the opposition. So he just decided, I'm just going to keep on running this, and Sasha will eventually tackle me into touch. It was almost like an NFL play there. Accepting the line out inside of your opposition's 22 after a big break. He just probably wished he had a bit more pace. No competition in the air, so the line out being not straight is irrelevant. In that case, is one of the closest games of late, definitely. I don't think we've seen too many games be this close with 7 minutes remaining. Some people are trying to follow the game, and then you get people like Mr. Everything. Yeah. And there's always that one, isn't there, who will break the trend. There's a knock-on the ground from the Stormers. Another mistake. I mean, in quick succession, he probably tuck it out after running around for over an hour. Says Big Rig. But that's where I thought maybe inside ball could have been on the cards, or at least something, other than just going, oh, well, we'll just go into touch. She'll be right. Score for the Bulls game is 89-10. That's a brutal scoreline. 7 minutes remain in this contest as well. Both sides have a bonus point currently, and whoever loses this game, I think, is getting a bonus point too. So the Stormers, if they were to lose, they could still walk away with 2 points. I'll just quickly show you the table, the way that it's at heading into this round. So the Stormers could walk away with 2 bonus points, moving them up to 58. If Ulster were to lose, they could move up to 49. Their points differential would not be better than the Bulls, so they would still find themselves on the chopping block. But 2 extra points for Ulster from this game would actually put them very close to safe, but not quite still. Except a line out instead of being tackled and turned over quickly, says Paul Walsh. Yeah, I think it was just the threat of an interception from the Stormers that he was a little bit afraid of. Oh, that was an interesting pass from Doak, but it's worked out beautifully. Out wide here, big run from Zach Ward. It's a 3-on-1 on the outside. He cuts back in. He's dragged down 1 metre short. Doak going to the right, and he is going to be tackled too by the scramble defence of the Stormers. They are holding on for dear life, but the Ulster side, they will feel confident that they can score it from here. 1 metre short, and there's an advantage for offside against the Stormers. This could be yellow card territory. Now getting close. Now across to the right-hand side, Postlethwaite, tackled by Damien Valimza. Now still the offside advantage in play. Happy Stormers lose, says Mr. Everything. The only reason I'd be happy they lose is if you had money on them. Sounds a bit brutal, doesn't it? But it's true. Now close to the line. That is over for Ulster between the posts as well. So it's a guaranteed 7 and the referee blows his whistle. It sounds like someone for the Stormers will be going to the bin for the final 5 minutes here. But they got so close there, Ulster. It looked like they slightly blew their chances, but still managed to go a few more phases. The Aussie market is not back in the rugby and New Zealand market, not big enough to carry the whole comp. Needs growing, but not enough investment. Was put into the island teams. Moana Pacifica is basically a New Zealand team. That part I do agree with. I think that Moana were very much so mismanaged. But the funny thing is, they have had someone offer to pay what they need to keep them alive. And the Moana Pacifica board turned it down. They said no thank you. Because they still want to be associated with New Zealand and still allow New Zealand to pick Moana Pacifica players. And also a few other behind the scenes things. Oh, they're going to check this. What are they checking here? 4 minutes remaining. Now I have a question. Oh no, he's just talking to the player. Now he kicks it over. It must have all been cleared. This is not a good result for Connacht. It hurts them badly because theoretically for Connacht, if we do see, let's say Ulster get the win, they become uncatchable. Well, they don't become completely uncatchable, but Connacht would need both wins for them to be able to move in, and they'd also be 5 points behind the Bulls, depending on what happens in the other results. And we have got the entering game. Says Sean O'Farrell. And also can Stormers stay number 1, says Mohadeen. They're just talking about that Ian Henderson red card earlier on. Had that been a permanent red, who knows how this game would have sat. But it felt like the 20 minutes flew by. So no card for the Stormers there. Yes, they still get the card with 3 minutes remain. They are down by 7. And Ulster have taken the ball nicely. Apart from the Lions, South African team seem inconsistent, lacking cohesion. And I think that's one benefit that the Lions have is because of the fact that a lot of their guys aren't box, they get to spend year in, year out together as a unit going up for the ball. Back on the side of the Stormers. Still a chance for the draw. I know this would happen, says Gallo Great. Seriously, that's unbelievable. Definitely something sounds rotten at Moana. Yeah, the fact that they got offered enough to be able to continue under new owners, and they went, no, we don't want that. So, you feel sorry for them, but at the same time, you feel sorry for the players, not the board. Because if the board is stopping someone from buying them to keep them in the comp, that's pretty poor. How long? Currently 2.5 minutes remaining here. Werner Cox straight back up to his feet. He's got a hat-trick today, and he'll certainly be up there for a man-of-the-match contender. Ball in the hands of Dan du Plessis. Now right-hand side again for Stephen Nkura. Looking for this ball. Does manage to find it. And Paul de Villiers, 2 minutes. Now on the clock, 38-31. The scoreboard was asleep, but now it's awake for the final moments of this contest. I'm blaming the ref, the Lions ref, as Stormers lose. Stormers win. The Lions ref were actually good, says Xander. Who got the yellow? I want to say Stormers 23, Yuri Matia, but I could be wrong. I just saw the referee go like that, and the replacement tight head's still on the field. So I think it might have been Matia, but I could be wrong. Now short ball to Connor Evans. There's currently 40 seconds past the 78th minute, which gives us 1 minute 20 remaining now for the Stormers to get themselves a converted try to take it to a draw. Now away to the right-hand side. After a massive win over the Glasgow Warriors in their most recent game, the Stormers, they would hate to drop this game to Ulster in the closing moments with the fact that they have scored 31 throughout this matchup. One big turnover for Ulster will win this game from here. Nkura, though the ball's still in the hands of the Stormers with Ollie Kebble. Now, managing to roll out of there was Tom Stewart. Hukshivar, Diamani. This could come down to a last-minute kick for Sasha Feinberg. Ngome Zulu. They will try and score it between the posts if they have the choice here, the Stormers. It almost became a rolling maul. 45 seconds now remain on the clock, and the Stormers looking to score it between the posts, although they have to move it wide. Now shoveled out to Lelio Zas. He's held up. What a mistake made from a man who's normally clinical. He's been held up by the Ulster defence in what was a far too casual attempt at a put down there from Zas. That may have just cost his side the game. Stopping tries are so hard these days. Well, that one looked like it should have been a certain one for Lelion Zas. He tries to cut in. Nathan Doak does all the hard work to tie up the arms. And Zas was just unable to get that ball down. Ulster win, says Big Rig. Almost 15 seconds remaining. The goal line dropout now. But Nathan Doak also has to be up there for man of match for what he's been able to do there. They don't deserve any better after that, says Yanko. And dumb idiot, says Galov. And there too. And had to gun it for the corner flag, yeah, but didn't trust the kicker in this scenario, I guess. Even though he's actually kicked 100% today, Sasha. So I feel like you just find any way you can to get that ball down. Hang on. TMO check. Something else is being checked. I think it's Hakshiva Diamani who was going, oh, my face is sore, while looking up at the big screen, seeing whether or not they will check it for him. I won't go high into that tackle. Stormers are a disgrace, says LB. Okay, they're checking for a high shot from Ulster. This game is not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. We're at 38 points to 31. It's Nathan... Wait. Oh, this is interesting. They are checking Nathan Doak's tackle on Lelion Zas. If this is ruled as high, the Stormers will get given more than likely a penalty try here. Does he connect on the chin, Nathan Doak? They want to see if there's head contact here. There is a little bit. There's a bit of shoulder on the head. This might become a penalty for a high shot, and then they will ask the argument, is it a penalty try because of it being a try-saving tackle? This would be a penalty try, 38-38 draw between these two sides here, ladies and gentlemen, if this one is ruled as such. Stormers still get a losing bonus point. They may get more than that. I snap as the youngsters say that's a penalty try. Says Studs Race. You were knocking the TFO earlier, says Big Rig. He connected to the chin, send him to the bin. Penalty try, yellow card, and actually, there would still be 9 seconds remaining, so someone can still win this game in the final moments. Poor game management from the Stormers in the last 20. And I says Cool Story. High tackle by Nathan Doak. As I was just praising him, he is surprised. It's a yellow card, a penalty try. Ulster and the Stormers are 38-38 with 9 seconds remaining. This game is crazy, says Xander. It certainly is. Now I have a question for everyone here. If you're Ulster, do you take the draw? I think yes. Definitely with the Stormers kicking off to you. I don't think there's any way to get down the field far enough. Yes, don't get me wrong, these points are crucial, but losing this game would hurt them much more than a draw. Although they'd only lose 1 point from a draw, really. Or from losing rather than drawing, I should say. Nah, I go for the win, says Big Rig. Stormers will win by 3. Oh, sorry, kicked off by Ulster, my apologies. With the Stormers take a draw, it's a knock-on. And it's put down by Lelion Zas and Van Heeren. It is after the full-time siren, so this game ends in a draw, ladies and gentlemen. 38-38. It means that the Glasgow Warriors, they go to number 1 in the standings after their win over Cardiff. And it comes down to the final round. Ulster will play the Glasgow Warriors. That game is must-see. When's that one happening? Hopefully not at the same time as any other matchup. Where is it? Ulster Glasgow. Oh, it's on at the same time as Cardiff Stormers. Why they got to do that? Surely you just move that game to 11:45 or something. But those two games are going to be epic. Cardiff. They will have to try and stop the Stormers from going to number 1. Glasgow will be trying to book that number 1 spot. Ulster trying to book themselves their spot in the top 8. It is all on the line. Zas's perfect draw. Well, high tackle and penalty try, says Studs Race. And I also take the draw. And Stormers are bad. I don't even care anymore. And I call draw. And same as this one, says Emmett. And also we have got there, to be fair, that's a high. Well, that's high for a draw prediction. And also a great game, a bit of commentary. Well done, ref, says Eric. And Stormers will be Ulster fans next week, says Sean O'Farrell. It's quite interesting how quickly it changes, though, isn't it? Because it's the same as the Six Nations. You see sides wanting to beat a team one week and then slightly in the back of their mind going for them the next. But, yeah, it will be interesting. Ulster know how important that game next week is up against the Glasgow Warriors. And I think Glasgow know how important that game is too, for the chance of having a top finish and having Scotstoun as the home location of the potential final. Great game. Cheers, Hamish. Says Studs Rays there, and great game. Ulster probably deserved the win. Says cool story. I think both of these sides at times had moments where it would be considered as, unlucky to draw. I think that both teams had some great attack. Sasha, there was a lot of weight on his shoulders throughout this contest. In the end, the 3-pointer that the Stormers took actually got the draw rather than the 3-point loss. So at the time, it may have seemed like a weird decision, but it's worked out. So both sides will get 3 points from this game, ladies and gentlemen. Great game. Thanks, Jack. Says Blackjack, no worries at all. So for anyone wondering what we got coming up later on, ladies and gents, in terms of live streams, the next one will be Hurricanes versus Moana Pacifica. That game is taking place at 7 p.m. New Zealand time. After that one, it will be Bulls versus Zebra, and that is at 11:45. And then from there, Under-20s Rugby Championship, New Zealand versus South Africa. That's going to be an epic clash between the two teams. That one is taking place at 4 p.m. South African time. What I will do, though, is schedule all those live streams within the next probably 30 minutes to an hour, just so that you guys can see exactly when they are taking place. And then Leinster Lions will be happening afterwards for the last game. But 38-38, the draw between these two sides could not be split at the end of the 80 minutes. Nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. We have got there probably a pure South African old boy here that has defence gone. It's a tricky one to judge because straight away, and I know that defensive coaches do take a lot of stick, but some tries are just good, if that makes sense. Like, don't get me wrong, high-scoring game, but some of the tries that we saw were absolutely phenomenally shaped and well built up after repeat phases. Like, sometimes defense just can't stop everything, but in a lot of people's minds, they want it to. So I think that the defense at times throughout this game was actually very solid from both sides. It's just that the attack was also brilliant. Werner Koch getting the hat-trick. Jano Augustus actually got man of the match, by the way. That's a bit of a surprise, but did have a busy day at the office, although did come off relatively early in that regard. Ulster saying the ref is to blame. I've seen both Ulster and Stormers supporters say that it's the ref's fault, that it's a draw. So I guess if both sides are blaming the ref for the draw, it's probably all right in a way. But yeah, the argument will be who feels like they were more hard done by. And I don't know who will win that argument in this case. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We've got their Stormers doing quick taps instead of scrums, lost in the game, amongst other stupid decisions by players. Says Deanna there. Oh, sorry, says Dean. I always say Deanna, don't I? And then realise that I say it wrong. Ulster fans will say it was never a penalty try. Says Big Rig. Yeah. I think Nathan Doak feels that way, but it makes sense at the end of the day that it was the last-ditch tackle being made. It was high. And, yeah, 38-38, the end score for this game. But nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for the next one.